Welcome to the full story series right here at Comicstorian. My name's Benny and I'm your narrator for all of our audio dramas of your favorite comic books, video games, and movies. You see here, we like to give you a recap as to what happened in your favorite pop culture icon. And today we're going to be covering issues 51 to 80 of The Flash. Now, we covered this series over the course of about 6 months here at the Comicstorian channel, and what it basically is the discovery of the new forces the Flash has to fight against, how they're being teamed up, and then an ending with a battle against, well, someone you probably are going to see coming. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you do, don't forget to smash that like button and tap into the Speed Force yourself, and I'll see you guys at the end of the video. With the Force barrier damaged and the revelation of Strength Force and the Stage Force, Barry sought the help of the only people who would have insight on other forces, the multiversal Flashes. But as he stands in the House of Heroes, none of the Flashes before him know anything other than the Speed Force. No one knows what the Sage Force, Strength Force, and Still Force are. Barry sighs, stating, "Thanks anyway. It's good to see all of you, but I'm gonna go back to my lab and try to figure this out." One Flash says that it's not always about science, you know, and another asks, "Did you ever go on a Force quest?" Barry stops, asking, "What?" Flash says, he can't go on believing something as powerful as the Speed Force is all about him. You should go out there and explore, learn a little bit. Barry tells them, thanks, I'll think about it. If you need me, you know where to find me." And back in the current day Central City, Trickster sits in a room with Detective Burns and Morrow, stating that if Wolf finds out about this, he's dead. Morrow asks, "Why do you think we're hiding you up here? Why are you so jittery?" Trickster then says that he's not sure about this, he's not feeling too good. Maybe they should get him to a nurse or something. Burns tells him, look, she knows how small and powerless Wolf made him feel, but they can help him. And Morrow tells him to just relax. The judge will be here any minute and they can drop him back off at Iron Heights. Wolf will never know. Just then a male and a female para-angels shout that they hope Trickster isn't afraid of heights. Burns and Morrow grab their guns and begin firing, but the para-angels shield themselves with their metal wings, shouting, they heard that Trickster was talking too much. The male pulls Trickster out of the window, and then Trickster shouts, asking, "Do you know who's in Central City?" Trickster's fake arm falls off, and the male says, "The Flash may run the streets, but we run the skies." Below, Barry runs up the side of a building, jumping off of it, stating that his mother always told him that he had his head in the clouds. He springs off the building, punching into the male para-angel, and the two begin struggling for control. The woman calls out that if he really wants him, all he has to do is catch him. She then lets go of Trickster, and Barry lands on a nearby building and begins running and leaping off, catching Trickster, asking, "What is this all about, Trickster?" Trickster tells him, "It's top secret, and shouldn't you be more worried about the para-angels getting some air?" A voice tells him that he wouldn't worry about the air. It's all about getting chilly. Commander Cold flies by, pointing his cold gun at the para-angels and fires, freezing them mid-flight. Barry shouts, "You've got to be kidding me!" And then he begins to run to the edge to create a whirlwind to catch the para-angels and safely put them back on the roof. Barry yells, "You could have killed them!" And Cole tells him that it was a nano-ice blast. They would have defrosted when I hit the switch. But while the two of them are distracted, Trickster uses his air-walking shoes to run down into the alleyway, and as he gets on the ground, he stumbles, stating, "I still feel weird. And the phantom pain on my arm? I haven't felt that in years." Just then, the ground begins to tear apart, and Trickster can feel himself being pulled down. He tries to grab onto something, screaming for help, but as whatever it is pulls him down, his cries go unheard. A short while later, back on the rooftops, Barry runs up to Commander Cole, telling him, "Great, your action caused us to lose Trickster." Cole tells him, "Look, I figure since I'm stuck here, I might as well lend a hand. Times are changing." Barry tells him, "No, this is my city. Things don't change in Central City. You can look for the forces all you want, but stay out of my way." Later that night, back at home, Barry goes through Trickster's file, stating that there's gotta be a place that he would always return to. Just need to keep Commander Cold away. Iris tells him that she knows that him being stuck here is his fault, right? Maybe he should just work with the time-displaced Commander Cold. They don't want him to become a villain again. Barry asks, "Are you worried? Is there anything that you remember from before about the new forces?" Iris thinks about it and says that she's not sure. Her memories are a bit weird. Some things fade in and out while others are stronger, but Iris remembers the other timeline in which they got married, and Barry asks, "Like what?" And Iris trails off, stating something else. Just then, Barry's phone goes off, and Barry says that it's Cold. He thinks he's found Trickster. He runs out of the house, but then runs back, giving Iris a kiss, and then back out again. As he reaches the location that Cold sent him, Cold says that he's surprised he actually came. "Any lectures planned?" Barry tells him no, he actually came to listen to him. Cold laughs, telling him, "Well, my scans show that Trickster went missing right around this spot and..." But before he could finish, the ground rumbles as a hand punches up, breaking apart the pavement. A figure begins to crawl out, and a voice asks, "What's happening?" "I feel, whoa!" Cold tells him, "I think we may have just found the Strength Force," and Barry asks if the giant hulking monster is Trickster? He punches Barry into the ground, and then he grips the gravel arm, telling everyone, "Central City saw me as a joke. but now they're all gonna pay for laughing at me. A few minutes pass, and as Commander Cold gets back up, he says that he hasn't been hit that hard since Gorilla Ghost sucker punched him in front of the House of Secrets. Barry helps him up, stating, "You might have a concussion." And Cold brushes him off, telling him, "I'm fine, and I don't like the idea of moving at super speed to the hospital. Besides, we have bigger things to worry about than a few bumps and bruises. Back when I was an agent at the temporal courts, Trickster never turned into this." The two look at the hole in the ground, and Barry asks, "Was the Trickster buried alive?" Cole tells him, "Well, the Speed Force struck you from above. Maybe the Strength Force comes from below. Scans show that the Force is still in flux. After you and Wally broke the Force barrier, you turned Central City into a petri dish for these new forces. It's probably trying to find a proper host." Meanwhile, downtown, Trickster smashes another police car, shouting, "Trickster Rex in the house!" Barry and Cold speed through the city, following Trickster's destruction, but while Iris goes to the library to try and find out more about the other forces, there's a loud crashing noise. She looks back to see the Flash thrown through the window. As Barry hits the bookshelves, he sees Iris and asks, "Where's the science section?" He gets up, goes back to the window, and Iris says, "My keen investigation skills tell me that Trickster found the Strength Force before you did, didn't he?" Trickster then yells, "I gotta be like the strongest guy in the world, right? I gotta be!" Commander Cold runs up with his gun, trying to freeze Trickster, telling him, "It's time for you to chill out." But Trickster grabs him, telling him, "I thought you were Snark, but Snark doesn't make puns." Flash runs down, punching into Trickster, and Trickster laughs, telling him, "Thanks for the massage, bro." And then he grabs him too. As Trickster begins to squeeze down on the Flash, he begins to vibrate out of his grip, and he shouts, "We're here to help you!" Trickster looks at his hand, stating, "What the hell, bro? You cheated! That hurt!" He grabs a car to throw, but before he can, he falls to his knees, shouting, "Something's wrong, bro!" Cold tells him, "It looks like the vibrational frequency must have thrown his body's connection to the Strength Force off. We need to take him out while we can." Barry tells him, "No. He's just a kid. Can't you use any of that fancy future tech to see what's going wrong?" Commander Cold begins to scan Trickster, telling him the Strength Force is surging inside of him. The power is too much for his body. It's breaking down under his own weight. If we're gonna help out this criminal, we're gonna need to find a place that can contain him. Trickster struggles and says, "I know a safe place, bro." A short while later, over at Iron Heights, Kristen looks through Trickster's files, stating that all of Wolf's personal files on him have been deleted. Did Wolf know that he was going to report him? Just then, Wolf asks Kristen what she's doing, and she tells him after the Flash totally screwed things up, she wanted to find clues that can help them. Could be possible that the Flash is the one hiding Trickster, and Wolf says, "I doubt it. Why would the Flash ever dare work with?" But that's when he's stopped by a guard yelling, "They got him! It's the Trickster, and the Flash brought him in." As Flash and Cold walk through the doors of the prison with Trickster, Trickster whispers to Barry, "No matter what, you can't leave me alone with Wolf, bro." Wolf walks out, stating that it looks like someone's on the juice. "And why is Snart here?" Barry runs up, stating, "I need Commander Cold's help for running tests on Trickster, and Trickster isn't leaving my sight." Wolf then asks, "Why exactly would I allow you to observe one of my inmates? What's in it for me?" Barry asks, "What do you want?" And Wolf smiles. Later, inside of a containment tube, the Flash asks him, "Are you happy now?" And Wolf tells him, "It's like Christmas morning. I wanted to test my new anti-speedster cells on an expert." You're surrounded by a special glass that gives off a harmonic frequency so chaotic that if you try to vibrate through it, it will skin you down to the bone. As Commander Cold begins to work on the computer, Wolf asks, "Where exactly are you from? Where is home?" Cold tells him, "Don't worry. No one knows who you are where I'm from." Cold then calls out, "All right, Trickster. A giant punching bag is coming in. I'm giving you 3 guesses what I need you to do with it." The bag goes into the cell, and as he punches it, Cold looks at the computer, stating, "Holy, his strength is off the charts. He's getting heavier. The Strength Force must be based around gravity and the force of motion. His mass is increasing and creating his own gravitational field, but it's unstable. The Speed Force bonded with the Flash, but it's not doing that with the Trickster. Best guess, it's rejecting him. It's gonna kill him or it's gonna explode." The Flash asks, "Wait, it's not permanent? That means we can still help him. We just need to find a way to transfer that energy to..." Cole tells him, "Is this guy really worth the risk? He might be better suited being put down." Kristen tells him, "No, the Flash is right." Just then the computer beeps and Cold says, "Oh no, it's do or die time. The Strength Force is..." Trickster begins to scream out in his cell as his muscles begin to expand, and Cold says, "I'm sorry, we're running out of options here." Barry begins to beat on the anti-Speed Force cell, shouting, "Let me out!" And the ground begins to rip apart underneath the Trickster, but it also ends up pulling Barry Allen into it. After a flash of light, Barry leans up, looking at his body, as it's now grown to the size of Trickster's because he's now inhabiting the Strength Force. The Trickster tackles into Barry, shouting, "You lied, bro! You just wanted to steal the spotlight!" The Flash tries to tell him, "That's not it!" And while the two of them struggle, Cold says, "I'm sorry, but there's only one way we're gonna stop the Strength Force, and that's by killing the both of you." Cold fires a shot off, narrowly missing Barry's chest. And then Cold calls out that he saw the readings. The strength force is too dangerous, especially now that you're infected. Barry shouts that Trickster doesn't deserve to die because of his past mistakes. He's just a kid. Hearing that, Trickster yells, I am not a kid! He charges at Barry, pinning him to the wall, but as they do, Wolf tells Cold that this is his chance. Kill him! Pull the trigger! Trickster turns back and Barry says, there's still time to save the Trickster! And then he punches the ground, throwing everyone off their balance. He steps back, looking at his fist, stating, whoa! This must be how Superman feels. Cold gets back up, stating, whatever you're thinking, I can't let you do it. And Barry tells him, wait! Trickster's weight increased the stronger he was getting because of the manipulation of the gravitational field around him. But when I vibrated, so Barry begins to vibrate in place and he slowly reduces his own size while retaining the strength. Barry says, see, it can be controlled. All the strength force needs is an outlet, and we can do the same for Trickster. Cold sighs, stating, I really hate science. Elsewhere in the prison, Wolf gets back up and Trickster finds him, telling him, you may have been the big bad wolf, but you won't ever blow me down again, bro! As Trickster smashes the ground next to Wolf, Barry runs in, tackling him out into the sea. The two punch back and forth, but without his full size, Barry is knocked back into the prison. They both go back and forth, fighting for power, and as they clash, the Flash asks what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Just then, an explosion goes off in the center of the prison, and Barry gets up in his original form, asking, where did Trickster go? Trickster calls out, holding up the entire building. Over here! You got me pretty good! My bodacious bod is going bye-bye. Do me a favor, get my friends out of here before the house comes down. Barry tells him, no, we can think of a way, Trickster. But Trickster shouts, you keep saying you want to help, then help by saving my friends. The only family I got, please, Flash. As Barry starts to run around getting everyone out, Trickster struggles to keep the weight of the building from falling as his body is slowly reverting back to its normal form. Once the final rogue is out of the prison, Barry runs back trying to grab Trickster. The debris falls, crushing him. He begins to remove the rocks, calling out the Trickster, and what he finds is the gravel arm broken off. As the sun comes up, Commander Cold scans the prison, stating that Central City has become the epicenter for the new forces, and it's playing havoc with his scanners. But Iron Heights is free of the strength force. If it found a new host, he or she is going to be out there in the world. Barry asks him, what about the Trickster? And Cold tells him, nothing. I tapped into some satellites over Central City, but I didn't pick up any traces of him. Also, we didn't find a body. Barry then shouts, I've had enough of this! All of this stuff happened because of what you did, Commander Cold. This isn't the 25th century. Your ways are not gonna fly here. Cold asks him, are you calling me reckless? I'm stuck in the Stone Age because you and Wally wanted to race. All I want to do is go back home and see if the people that I love are still alive. My very presence here means the future has already changed. The world that I love is gone. I can never go back, Flash. You're gonna need to get over yourself and get ready for what's about to come. Cold speeds off on his hover bike and Iris asks, she thought that they were supposed to be working together. Barry looks back asking, what are you doing here? And Iris says, covered a story. Flash fought Trickster and Wolf's guards, and there's a man dressed like Captain Cold. What even is his real name? We know he's from the future, but Commander Cold would be a weird real name. Barry brushes her off, stating that he needs to get back to work, and he'd rather not talk about any of this. Iris grabs him, stating, yeah, but I do. And Barry tells her, oh yeah? What about you then? Let's talk about what you're hiding. You're not the only one in this relationship who can pick up on clues. I know you're not telling me something from your past life. Why? What is so bad that you would hide it from me, Iris? Iris thinks back to the wedding memories that she had and says that it's nothing. Barry heads back into the prison, stating, fine, don't tell me. I'll see you at home when I get off of work. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Trickster looks around and finds himself in an abandoned building covered in dust. He asks, where am I? Is this some kind of trick? A shadowy hand reaches out, stating, it ain't your time just yet. If you had just let the para-angels bring you here from the start, we could have avoided all of this, but it's okay. It's all about the long con, you know? Come on, let James Jesse lend you a hand. Pun intended. There's a loud boom in Central City as a giant fist of Solomon Grundy punches into Barry Allen, knocking him to the ground. As the Flash sits there, he thinks how Halloween is one of Iris' favorite holidays, and instead of spending time with her, he's fighting a zombie with the Justice League Dark. He gets back up and he starts to lay into Solomon, with Solomon grabbing him, and the Flash thinking that he might have to come up with a different plan to bring him down. Grundy pulls back, and as he swings, the Flash begins to vibrate at a particular frequency that allows him to pass through Grundy's fist, and boom! Pieces of Grundy fly all around, and Wonder Woman says that she's surprised. She never took him for one to deal a lethal blow like that. Flash shrugs it off, telling her that Grundy will be fine. He'll be back to his old gray self before you know it. Right now, I gotta head out and meet up with Iris and the others. I'll catch you all later. Flash changes out of his costume as he runs to the bar to meet up with Iris, Burns, and Morrow, and as he walks in, Morrow laughs, stating, shoot! I thought you'd be at least an hour late. Since you're only 15 minutes late, I guess I'll be picking up the first round, huh? Barry laughs as he heads to the bar, stating, fine, another round for my friends. But a water for me, please. The bartender asks if he's sure that he doesn't want a cold one. If anyone needs to loosen up, it's you, Barry Allen. Commander Cold smiles as he leans on the back of the bar. And Barry asks, what is he doing here? Cold tells him that since he's stuck in this primitive era, he's got to make money somehow, and he doesn't have very many options. Burns gets up to help Barry with the drinks and asks who's his friend behind the counter. Barry says that he's not a friend, just a suspect in an old case I had. Meanwhile, over at Iron Heights, Heatwave begins to head back to his cell when the doctor tells him that he may want to try meditation. It might help with his. Heatwave stops him, telling him, none of that new age stuff works for me. Not really my style. Mirror Master laughs, asking Weather Wizard if he's seeing this. Heatwave is talking about his feelings. It's truly the end of the rogues. Heatwave tells him, shut it, or it'll be the end for you. But as he passes Warden Wolf asks how was his visit today. Heatwave scoffs, telling him, nothing for you to stress over, you glorified security guard. Wolf says that if he continues with that kind of a tone, he'll learn that there's no way out of Iron Heights. And Heatwave says, oh yeah? Tell that to James Jesse. And Wolf snaps, asking, how do you know about? Just then an explosion goes off in Heatwave's cell, and he screams as he's being burned alive. Back at the bar, Barry and the others sit and laugh, but as Barry looks towards the bathroom, he sees a red blur. He gets up and he says that he thinks he saw someone, and Iris asks if it's someone from his old Trek team. Superman once told Barry that he and Lois had a code word for when there was danger and one of them needed to go, and what Iris was asking was Barry's version of it. Barry heads to the bathroom, but he doesn't see anything, and just then a deformed Wally West beats on the mirror on the other side, asking, why did you let them take me? Barry jumps back, yelling, no, I'm not falling for Mirror Master's games. I'm not sure how you found me, but I'm coming. Wally breaks through the glass shouting, you left me, Barry! And Barry shields himself as he looks up and sees nothing. He walks out and Kristen says there he is. Singh just called and said there's something happened at Iron Heights, all hands on deck kind of a situation. So Barry hugs Iris and tells her goodbye. As everyone leaves, Iris goes to the bar and tells Cole that they need to talk about the new forces. Still, Sage, Strength. Back at Iron Heights, Heatwave lays in the ICU as Kristen looks over Heatwave's paperwork stating that Mick has always been a pyromaniac. This is hardly the first time that he's been burned, but this one might kill him. The scans show that his synapses are exploding. His body has been experimented on a few times over the years. We just need to figure out why he just spontaneously combusted this time. As Heatwave nods in and out of consciousness, he begins to see the world change, and he finds himself walking through a burnt-out city. He looks around asking, what the hell is this? And a large fire spirit appears before him, telling him, no, there's nothing left to burn. Fire is about pain. It cleanses, it heals. The fire gives life. Over at the bar, Iris sits with Cole, telling him that these new forces seem familiar, but she's finding it rather odd that there's no mention of it in the future. Cole sits back, stating that time travel's funny like that. But instead of looking into the future, you might want to look into the past. What else do you remember before the flashpoint? Iris tells him bits and pieces, but just then her phone rings and she tells Cole to hang on. To Barry. She answers and she asks what's up, and Barry says that he isn't finished yet, but he was wondering if she could ask that bartender. But before he could finish, there's a scream as 3 fire demons charge throughout the prison. Barry says that he's got to go, and Iris tells Cole that he's gonna need help. Cole says that he doesn't take orders from, but Iris shouts at him, just go! Back at the prison, Barry changes into his costume to help pull people away from the demons, and as the Flash grabs Wolf, Wolf yells, I don't need help from you. The Flash tells him, watch, they aren't going after you anyway. And Wolf then says, who then? The Flash says giant fire demons arrive at Iron Heights right after one of your resident fire starters is hurt. Take a wild guess. He races to where Heatwave is being kept, and he finds Burns there, and he tells her that she needs to get out of here. Just then, Heatwave's eyes begin to glow blue, and the Flash tackles Burns to the ground, shouting, get down! And a second later, Heatwave explodes again. Both the Flash and Burns get up, and they see the fire this time took out everything. Burns asks, where is everyone? And as the Flash kneels down at a pile of charred bones, he says that these bodies, there's something off about the way the fire spread. A fire that could do that, these flames are not normal. The voice then tells him, that's because normal is boring and I'll never be normal again. This is my world, Flash. Here, Heatwave is God. As Heatwave attacks, the Flash grabs Bird and runs her outside so that he can try and fight back against the giant Heatwave. The fire spirit from before tells Heatwave not to bother with the Flash. He knows what needs to be done. If he truly loves her, if he loves fire, he'll burn it all. Heatwave tells her, yes, my love. And a second later, Iron Heights explodes. The Flash runs outside asking Burns if she's okay, and she tells him that she's thankful for the save, but the next time he wants to pick her up, ask first. Heatwave starts to make his way to Central City, and as the Flash watches, Burns asks, "Aren't you gonna go after him?" And Flash tells her no, because this is all wrong. Heatwave's obsessed with fire, not killing. Those charred bones, they don't match up with what the evidence would look like. We're still in Iron Heights, but not the real Iron Heights. Burns asks, what is that supposed to mean? And the Flash says that he believes that they are lost in Heatwave's mind. Back in the real world, the Flash and Burns lay knocked out next to Heatwave's bed as the fire demons are getting closer. Wolf shouts to his men to keep firing, but as the demons reach out for Heatwave, they're suddenly encased in ice. Wolf looks back, stating, "You." And Commander Cole tells him, "My buddy Heatstroke is going to be so hellish that there are fire monsters here." Wolf asks, "What the hell are you doing here?" And Cole tells him, "You're welcome, by the way." Wolf looks back and says, "Welcome for what? This is the second time this month that my prison has been destroyed, and you and the Flash are somehow involved. Why is that, Commander Cold?" But when Wolf turns back, he finds Cold, the Flash, Burns, and Heatwave are gone. Back inside Heatwave's mind, the Flash goes through the remains of Iron Heights, and Burns says that Heatwave's never had an ability like telepathy before, right? The Flash tells her no, this is the Sage Force. Recently, Central City was the epicenter for a series of new forces that were unleashed into the world. The first one was the Strength Force, and that hit Trickster, turned him into a giant brute. This one clearly hit Heatwave. Burns says, okay, then why is she here? She has no connection to these forces. The Flash tells her that he may have an idea, but he's going to need to carry her, so she sighs. He begins to cross water, and he explains that back when he ran too fast, he got pulled into the Speed Force itself. To escape, he had to focus on his lightning rod, something from his life that keeps him grounded. He believes that for them to get out of there, they need to find Heatwave's lightning rod. When they stop, Burns says that she never told anyone this, but before she came to Central City, her family was from Gotham. Her parents are part of the Falcone family making drugs. That was until their lab blew up and they died in a massive fire. That was part of the reason she became a cop. Flash says that he's sorry he didn't know, and Burns asks, why would he? It's not like we're friends. The Flash goes on stating that Heatwave must have pulled them in for a reason. The Sage Force must have read her mind and saw that they had similar paths. But just as he finishes, there's a loud whoom as part of the building they're in breaks. The Flash starts clearing a path, stating that something doesn't want them connecting to Heatwave. That must be why you're here. Back at the Flash's apartment in the real world, Iris knocks on the door, telling Cole that she knows that he's in there. He cracks the door open, saying, hi, password? Iris pushes away and stating that she doesn't have time for that. She needs to know what happened at Iron Heights. The things that her contacts have told her, they were insane. Iris looks down to see Flash, Burns, and Heatwave all hooked up to Cold's future tech. And Cold says, Barry did say to make myself at home. Back inside Heatwave's mind, the Flash leads Burns out of the smoke, and as Burns looks around, she asks, where are they? This looks like the suburbs outside of the city. The Flash looks back and says that he knows exactly where they are. This unscathed house is Heatwave's lightning rod, Heatwave's childhood home. Burns asks why would Heatwave have brought them there, and the Flash tells her that he didn't. As Heatwave appears above them, the Flash shouts to him, you couldn't find your lightning rod because you're too afraid. Why? Heatwave begins to revert to his normal phone, stating that he knew Flash wouldn't let him down. When he was young, he hoped that when he grew up, he would be like his dad. But back when he saw his first flame, he knew he was born obsessed. The Flash tells him that that isn't true. He might not be able to go back to the way things were, but he can always move. And Heatwave says, forward. Heatwave begins to change back, stating, I could never change what I am. Not today, not tomorrow. All that's ahead of me is a nightmare. I couldn't face it before, so now I will burn it all. Heatwave's blast rips through the building, and Flash runs in, saving Heatwave's younger self, stating that if he can just get... But then there's another explosion. Back in the real world, Heatwave's body begins convulsing, and Iris asks what happens to the Flash and Burns if they're not disconnected from the Sage Force. Cold looks at the scanner, stating that it's way worse than just that. If Heatwave has another flare-up like he did at Iron Heights, he's gonna destroy all of Central City. Inside Heatwave's mind, the Flash continues to run, and he runs right into a wall of fire bouncing off of it. He looks around and sees dozens of paths with no clear way to go. The Flash tries to vibrate through the fire, but as he burns his hands, Burns tells him it's no use. Heatwave's maze is endless. The Flash starts running through the maze, stating that he will search every path until he can find an exit. And Burns says that it's only a waste of time. Heatwave then calls out, just like him, they're trapped in a life he didn't want. This maze makes them feel the way that he did the day his parents died. The fire spirit whispers to Heatwave, burn them, my love. They are all that stands between you and me finally being together as one. The Flash yells, don't listen to her! You've been infected by the Sage Force. It's given your sickness a voice, and all it wants to do is pull you deeper into your mind. Heatwave yells, no! You're lying! I'm the one in control here. This is my world. This is where I am God. Over in the real world, Cold begins hitting Heatwave with his cold gun, stating that he can't keep it up forever. If the Sage Force keeps accelerating thanks to Barry's Speed Force, then any minute, Heatwave's going to go nuclear. If we don't act fast, the city is doomed. Iris runs over to the computer stating, okay, the Sage Force feeds on empathy, right? Wait, how did I know that? These new forces, ever since Hunter Zolomon tricked Barry and Wally into unleashing them, they felt so familiar. An image then flashes before Iris's eyes as she's working at a station, stating she remembers them in her past life. Before the flashpoint, she studied the new forces. She knows what needs to be done. Hurry, put this on! Inside of Heatwave's mind, Burns calls out that they just want to help, and Heatwave tells her, no, the Sage Force has helped me in ways that no one else has. He begins throwing fireballs at the ground, and a voice tells him, that ain't you, buddy. Heatwave looks over asking, Captain Cold? Captain Cold hits him with a cold gun, stating, the one and only. Now why don't you chill out for a moment? Heatwave breaks free from the ice, shouting, you aren't the real Snort. He's locked up in Bell Reef. Cold asks, is that right? Then how would I know about the job we tried to pull in Metropolis a few years ago? Back before the Rogues, when it was just us, and Superman swooped in to put the fire out with his freeze breath. Heatwave stops, asking, you laughed the whole time when we were being carried to Iron Heights. Cold tells him, yeah, you used to help me find an outlet for my passion, but really we helped each other. Helped me get over obsessing over my past and how my dad treated me. Heatwave starts to shrink, stating, the urge will never leave me. And Cold says, maybe, but the Mick I know would never let the fire control him. Heatwave blinks and sees himself in his old costume, and he asks, is this my gun? And Cold tells him, yeah, remember? You were the one in control of the fire. You don't need that overgrown matchstick dame to boss you around. It's time to go home, buddy. As everyone walks towards the light, the fire spirit screams, how dare you! If you won't love me, you will burn! But as the spirit attacks, the Flash runs in the way, deflecting the blast. The spirit asks why would he risk his life for a monster like Heatwave? And the Flash tells him because he knows the pain that Heatwave feels. How hard it is to just let go of the past, and that moving forward sometimes hurts. The spirit gets ready for another attack, and the Flash runs circles around her, breaking her apart. She screams in pain, and everyone wakes up back in Barry's apartment. A short while later, the Flash brings Heatwave and Burns back to Iron Heights, and as Heatwave's bandages fall off, he looks at himself asking, where did my scars go? As Barry and Commander Cold leave the prison, Barry stops and tells him, you know, I may have been wrong about you. You did a good job back there. Cold steps off his hoverbike, telling him, call me Henry. And Barry says, wait, that's my father's name. And Cold tells him, yeah, I know. Later, outside the city, Barry looks on, taking it all in when there's a low rumbling sound making its way towards him. Iris gets off her motorbike asking what's going on, and Barry says that Cold told him that she knows how to deal with the Sage Force. Iris tells him that she didn't want to lie or hide things from him, but she's unsure of the things that she remembers and was afraid that they weren't real. That's why she's been so hard on him, hanging up on the past. The past is gone. It's unfair to try and live with it always on our minds. You need to talk to the Flashes of the 52 worlds again about what's going on with a Force quest. Barry tells her that he already has. He should have listened to them from the start. Ever since Wally left, he's felt directionless. Iris then asks if he's going to finally accept that he can't go backwards. What's stopping him from going on this quest? Barry says it's because of her. She laughs, and Barry says, what? I'm serious. I can't live without you. She kisses him and tells him that he's a lovable, well-meaning dummy. Don't you get it? I'm coming with you. Meanwhile, over at Earth 18, home of Flash, Johnny Thunder. Johnny holds his ground as a tornado comes his way, stating that this might be his last stand. But they can bet their behinds that he's gonna go down shooting. The Winds start to dismantle his guns in a voice that asks, what did Barry want with the Flashes of the 52 worlds? Johnny says that he needed to go on his Force quest, and Johnny starts to get pummeled, and the voice says, finally, the time has come. Barry Allen runs in the right direction, towards me, Hunter Zolomon, the true Flash. As Iris walks through the busy market getting some food, she tells the Flash that it's been years since she's been here, but she's never forgotten how good this place smells. He's got to try some of this. Wait, come on, you promised you wouldn't do this on this trip. Meanwhile, running through the crowded street, Flash makes his way through the people, chasing down a purse snatcher while making sure not to bump into too many people. But just as the crowds let up, the purse snatcher stumbles onto the streetcar tracks, falling down. The man driving shouts for everyone to hold on as he hits the brakes, and with how fast they're going, They don't think they're going to stop in time. Just before the streetcar can hit the man, the Flash runs in front of it, creating a wind tunnel to slow it down, stating that it looks like he's got there right on time. After making sure there's no damage to the streetcar, the Flash grabs the Snatcher, telling him that this is kind of embarrassing, but could you point me to the local police to drop you off? I'm not from around here. Please and thank you. A few moments later, Iris says that took longer than expected. Why not just vibrate through everyone? And Flash tells her because that would be rude, not to mention dangerous. What would happen if I ran into someone at the wrong frequency? Iris says to him, you promised that we would stay together on this Force quest. Now it's time to go check out this place. As the two of them walk up to an old building, Iris goes on stating that this church is one of the oldest structures in this location. Back when the Trickster attacked Central City Library, there was this book in the wreckage. It talked about a world traveler named Richard Amidi, who believed that there could have been signs of people with superpowers throughout history. Some of these powers sound like they could be the new forces. It can't be a coincidence, Barry. As the two walk up the stairs, Flash notices the door to Richard's office has been broken into. The two walk in and Flash says that they've both seen enough crime scenes to know that this was done by a professional. The ransack patterns tell them that there was more than one person searching for something very specific. Just then, two masked individuals jump down from the rafters and the woman says that she thinks these two aren't any danger, just a pair of young lovers just like them. The male lands stating, I doubt that they're just like us. Flash thinks to himself he can't change into costume right now without revealing that he is the Flash, so he asks who are they? The woman holds up a small statue stating that they're in search of souvenirs. You may call us Gemini. Iris then asks, did they do all of this for that statue? And the woman says that they would love to stay for proper introductions, but we really don't care. Au revoir. As the two jump out the window, Flash quickly changes into his costume and he runs down outside to try and stop them. As he catches up to them, he asks, you guys know that your masks are kind of creepy. Why don't you just tell me how important the statue really is? The male gets up swinging, but as Flash steps out of the way, he says, this really is unnecessary. We could just talk like adults. But as the woman holds up the statue, she tells him, this totem was crafted hundreds of years ago to worship the god Kratos. It represents strength and power, and now it belongs to me. That's when the male keeps Flash busy and the woman charges up her gauntlet, punching Flash into a wall with a loud boom. The woman yells that her skin feels so alive with power, her blood boils with strength. And the male kisses her, telling her, for heaven's sake, don't give it all to yourself. As Flash pulls himself out of the rubble, he thinks that he hasn't been hit that hard since the Trickster was infected with the Strength Force. But those two, they're not Strength Force users. Before the Flash could follow the masked duo, he realizes the wall that he was thrown into was a part of a church, and it's about to come down. He runs through, grabbing everyone before the debris can crush them, and even after saving everyone, he realizes he couldn't save the church. A short while later, down in the sewers, the two masked criminals take off their masks, and the woman, Belladonna, says that if she's being honest, she's a little turned on. Her lover, Santiago, tells her that he would have never thought that she'd enjoy skin-tight red pajamas. Belladonna goes on stating that the energy coming off of him, she needs it, they need it. With that kind of power, they can feel free forever. Will you go and get him, lover? Santiago smiles and says that he will chase the Flash down to the ends of the earth for her. Back topside, the Flash picks up Iris and begins to run, with her asking what are they going to do about the Gemini. Flash tells her that they're gonna have to wait. The Speed Force is pulling him away from the city. They should have started here to begin with. As they stop, Iris looks around and asks, Gorilla City? You told me all about this place. I never thought I'd be able to see it. Flash then tells her there's a reason. It's hardly the safest place, even without Grodd. But from the looks of it, someone else must be hunting for the secrets of the Speed Force. But before them, scattered throughout the city, are the bodies of dead gorillas. The Flash begins to run around, examining the bodies, stating that these are all recent. But there's only one person who could have done this, Grodd. Iris asks, isn't he working with the Legion of Doom now? And Flash tells her, that's it. Taking you back to Central City. All of this is my fault. I told Solovar that I would return, but I ignored them in now this. Iris yells that he always lets his guilt get the better of him. Because of that, he always misses things that are right in front of his face, like the hidden passage over there, Barry. She takes out her phone to shine some light down the walkway, and so the two of them begin to walk down, finding a giant mural painted along the wall. Flash looks up and says that he remembers King Solovar telling him the legend of the light in the messenger. They've been studying the Speed Force for generations before the lightning in his lab had struck him. It's what Grodd used to create a Speed Force storm. There's just so much that he doesn't know. But just then, the sound of a low rumbling growl can be heard, and suddenly two giant gorillas burst out from the ground roaring. One yells, "Go away!" And as it attacks, the Flash picks up Iris and gets her out of harm's way. Flash shouts that he doesn't want to hurt them as he creates a wind tunnel to push them back. But as one is thrown into the wall, a mechanical eye pops out from one of the gorillas. Flash pauses for a second, stating, huh? Robot gorillas? Awesome. He starts running around the robots with Iris asking, honey, what are you doing? The Flash stops, holding up one of the gorillas' heads, stating that he just wanted to see what makes these things tick. He had no idea that the gorillas had this kind of technology, that they were this advanced. But it would mean that someone has to be controlling them. Just then a voice calls out, it was me. A group of gorilla scientists step out, telling him that they're sorry. They thought the killer had returned. Flash asks who are they, and the scientists state that they work in the labs below. They survived the attacks because the killer never saw them, though they didn't have a chance to see who it was that slaughtered their people. Come, there is much to be shown, Flash. The scientists lead the Flash down deeper into the tunnels, and they explain that King Solivar called him a friend, but he knew that there were some things that needed to remain with the gorilla people. Before Grodd killed King Solivar, he requested that they document their history and further advance the gorillas. Grodd never wanted to expand their knowledge beyond their walls. Flash asks, is that why Grodd killed everyone? And the scientists tell him that it wasn't Grodd. We did not see the one who was responsible, but we do know what they were after. As the scientists flip the switch, a flash of light shines and a familiar voice calls out, Grodd, if you are witnessing this, then you have finally found a better path. It is time for you to learn the truth of the Speed Force. Flash and Iris look up to the massive projection of King Solivar as he explains that there are 4 forces: speed, strength, sage, and still, each with its own avatar. It was their duty to keep the multiverse moving and progressing towards its destiny. Their people were blessed with the Sage Force, which is why they have the powers that they do. But not since their ancestor, the original Solivar, have they been able to reach their full potential as having an avatar of their own for the Sage Force. These avatars worked against the Dark Force from outside of the past, present, and future, in the midst of the greatest battle, the Forces. But before the projection could finish, it distorts and fades out. And the Flash asks, what happened to the rest? The scientists tell him that they don't know. They can give him as much data as they've gathered, but that's all they have. Iris looks at one of the terminals, stating, actually, hang on, I studied this tech in my past life. I can help you get what you need. And we have a tech-savvy friend who can process the force energy readings that you capture. Flash says, right, Commander Cold, you read me? Back in Central City, Commander Cold, an individual from the future who took the name Commander Cold and then became stranded in the past, fires his freeze gun at a group of bank robbers, yelling, yeah, I'm a little busy right now, Flash. Iris yells into the comm, stating, hey, we're in Gorilla City and we got some information. I just went ahead and emailed it. Cold tells her, yeah, I got it on the screen now. The satellites are showing a strength force signal coming from Corta Maltese, along with some police radio about some trouble. It sounds like a conflict is taking place. Cops in the streets dealing with some unstoppable, strong criminal. Flash quickly scoops up Iris, stating, we'll be back, I promise. And as he leaves, one of the scientists asks, why don't you tell them the whole truth? And another says that he isn't ready. Another voice tells them, I agree. Aren't secrets a pain? Santiago slashes through the scientist, stating that they're only interested in the Flash, but he just has to try a taste of talking monkey. Santiago holds up his gauntlet and begins to absorb the gorilla's mind. And another scientist yells that they were the ones who killed their brethren. Belladonna grabs him, telling him, sorry, but you'll have to point the finger at someone else. We just got here. But maybe if you tell us everything, we might spare you. Meanwhile, over at Corto Maltese, Flash arrives to find the police are fighting back against an unknown force. As the police van is thrown into a nearby building, the Flash rushes in, grabbing all of the officers, moving them out of the way. That's when there's a flash of green that lands behind him and knocks him down. He looks up to see a dark-skinned woman with dreads standing before him, telling him, Flash, welcome to Corto Maltese. My name is Forza. Forza jumps on the Flash, but while he dodges, Iris runs to the commanding officer on the scene, telling him that they need to call off their men. The officer tells her that he did not ask for the Flash's help. Masked vigilantes are nothing but trouble. You are not wanted in Corto Maltese. Forza swings again with the Flash, yelling, whoa, hang on a second, I just want to talk to you about the Strength Force. She punches him in the gut, throwing him to the side, and as she leaves herself open, the commanding officer tells his men to open fire. Flash gets up, starting to pick the bullets out of the air, shouting, what the hell? You could have killed innocents. The officer grabs Iris, pointing his gun at her head, stating, maybe we still will unless you get out of our city. Forza thrusts her arms into the ground, creating a shockwave, throwing everyone off balance, shouting, it is not your city! Forza tells Flash that it looks like they're on the same team. If you want my apology, then follow me. Flash yells for Iris as he runs through, picking her up and following Forza. As they leave, one officer shouts to the commanding officer Cauldron that this has gone on far too long. If you wish to maintain hold on your city, then you cannot continue this private little war with Forza. Cauldron takes his gun, shooting the man in the head. Then he grabs his phone, telling the person on the line that he was wrong. It appears that he does need to take them up on their offer. All of his toys are broken and they're going to need something bigger. Elsewhere, Flash arrives behind Forza and she says that she's sorry for punching him. She wasn't sure what side he was on. Their city has been taken over by a corrupt man named Cauldron. He brings weapons into the country illegally, and she was destroying one of his shipments. Flash says, look, I know we've never met before, but you're gonna have to trust me when I state, I come in peace. She folds her arms, telling him that she knows who he is. But why should she trust him? Flash takes off his mask, telling her, my name is Barry Allen, and I can sense a force connection, and I know I can trust you. I need to learn as much as I can about the Strength Force. She begins to walk off, stating that she appreciates the gesture, but his name means nothing to her. He can go home. Flash says, look, I know what you're feeling. Everything is so confusing and lonely. You got your powers a few weeks ago, right? Something grabbed you from under the ground? She stops. How did you know? I was just going about my day when something took and buried me alive. When I emerged, I felt all this strength. It was a gift. Flash puts his mask back on, telling her, those powers came from something called the Strength Force. Long ago, there were 4 avatars of the forces who protected space and time. For me to understand these new forces, I need to connect with the Speed Force like I've never done before. And the key lies somewhere with these new forces. So maybe if I could, but she stops him, lifting up a giant boulder, asking, me? I'm not sure. I've already got a lot on my plate here. Flash and Iris follow Forza and they look around at the people growing crops, asking, did you make this community inside of the mountain? She tells them yes with her bare hands. She's helping the people of Corte Maltese to build a better life, away from Cauldron. Her real name is Alexa Antigon, but you can still call her Forza. These people will always be her priority. Why should she take time to help them instead of these people? Flash holds out his hand, stating that the powers that she received felt like a gift, right? Wouldn't you want to share that? She laughs. Okay, but you're going to learn my way. A short while later, she takes Flash out to show her power by lifting a tank, and she explains that her body shifts the Strength Force for what she needs. Normally, she's pretty invulnerable, but if she uses the Strength Force for things that are this heavy, she loses some of that. Flash asks how about the gravity aspect of the Strength Force. She says that she focuses her powers on the strength part, not the gravity. There's not much that a super strong punch won't fix. She just needs to be more in touch with the Earth since that's where her powers are formed. Forza shows Flash what it means to help people. And while unloading the supplies, a young boy calls out to her, holding his bloody father. Forza grabs the man, asking what happened, and the boy says that Cauldron attacked them. He wanted to know where the hideout was. She sets the man down, clenching her fist, yelling, these people got hurt because of me. Cauldron will be stopped. I'll go down and demolish that police station. Flash stops her, telling her to hang on. She can't just attack recklessly. She could hurt someone. Forza tells him that he can't just hope things will get better. You have to make them. And with that, an explosion goes off on the mountainside. Before Forza can call out to her family, though, Flash grabs her and starts to run. Within seconds, he charges through, punching out the officers holding Iris and Forza's mother hostage, leaving Cauldron to Forza. She leaps up, yelling to him, and as he turns back, he holds out his arm, wielding a small cannon. A light blue mist forms from the barrel, and Cauldron says that he is ready this time. The cannon goes off, shooting bubbles that are filling the room. She stops, laughing. Bubbles? Really? But the Flash tells her that this is no laughing matter. He has seen those gauntlets before. The bubbles begin to stick to Forza, and as she tries to shake them off, the bubbles turn into little blue creatures with sharp teeth and long tongues. They jump at the Flash as he yells, the gun is powered by the Sage Force! More and more creatures begin to form a swarm around the two of them. With her punching through them, they just end up growing back. Cauldron then asks, do you like my new toy? I really didn't want it to come to this, but I had to get a bit creative. Forza shouts at the Flash, asking, how do you want to fight this? And the Flash tells her, we're gonna try it your way and keep punching, but not in the way you're thinking. If you were to use the gravity powers to draw them in while reforming, we might be able to use the Speed Force to accelerate the energy inside of them, causing them to burst. Forza says that she's not sure that she can, and the Flash yells, you said you felt one with the Earth, right? Search for that feeling again. She begins to concentrate, covering the reforming creatures in the gravity energy. And once they've all clumped together, the Flash launches a bolt of Speed Force with a crack-a-goom. As the smoke fades, the Flash tells her, look, we solved your little problem and Cauldron's men are already on the run. Now we just need to make sure Cauldron can't use the Sage Force gauntlet again. Forza tells Flash that she's already on it as she grabs Cauldron by the arm, crushing and ripping apart the gauntlet. She then grabs Cauldron by the throat, telling him that he will never hurt her country or her family again. As she pulls her arm back to swing, the Flash yells, no! And he runs through, grabbing Cauldron from her, telling her that that is not the answer. She looks back, yelling that he doesn't know that nothing will stop me! She begins to grow in size, the same as the Trickster when he lost control of the Strength Force, turning into a mindless brute. She's punching the wall, shouting that she will bury them alive. The Flash dodges the falling rocks, but Forza charges into him, smacking him into a wall. The Flash then starts to focus his frequency to build up another Speed Force charge, and just as Forza gets close, he shocks and stuns her. He tells her that she was a great teacher, but he cannot allow her to be consumed by her anger. She was about to step over the line that she can never return from. She begins to get back up, yelling that she doesn't care what he thinks, but her mother runs in telling her to stop this. This isn't you. You don't break, you build. A short while later, as Argus arrives to take Cauldron away, Flash tells Forza that they won't be worrying about him for a while. Iris then says they still need to figure out who the Sage Force user is. Maybe with the broken gauntlet they can. After reaching out to Commander Cold again, Flash and Iris find another signal coming from Zandia, a place where some of the worst supervillains go for R&R. Cold radios in stating that they need to be careful. If the Sage Force really is there, chances are they're a criminal. A little while later, they both head into the city with Iris asking if he's ready. Flash looks at himself wearing a Black Hawk uniform, stating that this'll never work. This isn't my style. She tells him that because it's not his style, it's the perfect disguise. As the two of them walk out, she asks, how's the signal? Flash says that he can feel the Sage Force getting stronger. It matches what he felt when Heatwave was possessed by it. Just then, a voice calls out that he doesn't like being followed. Flash and Iris turn around to see themselves surrounded by all of the criminals on the island. And a man that can read their thoughts says that their worst fear is being caught by the Flash. Wait, you're the Flash? Holy crap. Man, this is why you're looking for me? Because I have the Sage Force? Dude! The man takes off his helmet, shaking the flashes as the villains disappear, stating, I am such a huge fan. Once they got to the secluded rooftop in the supervillain safe haven known as Zandia, the Sage Force user explains to Flash that there are a few things that he needs to go over before they begin. The person that they're targeting is a woman named Roulette. She is a games master and a criminal kingpin of the city, and one of the most deadliest people in the world. And just as anyone who would hear her name would assume, she runs illegal casinos all across the world. So why is he telling one of the greatest heroes who ever lived this? Because he's an agent of Argus, and his mission is to shut down her empire. But he has a question. Why is the Flash wearing a getup like that? The Flash begins his side of the story. A few months ago, 3 new forces were introduced into the world, one of them being the Sage Force, which Psyche, right here in front of him, currently has. The man takes off his helmet, stating, that's a pretty cool name. Not sure how much help I can be, though. Iris tells him that they should probably start small, like his name and how he got his powers, because she's having a hard time thinking that Psyche is his real name. So he explains he's actually Bashir. As for his powers, well, it's gonna sound crazy, so he'll just go ahead and show them. Psyche holds out his hands, and soon Flash and Iris begin to see images of Psyche, and he tells them that he was having these terrifying nightmares when one night, boom, he ignited on fire. Argus was there to help him recover, and from there, they sent him on a mission to gather information on supervillains and report it back. There's been some things that he's not very proud of though, but he does what he does because he believes in justice. Argus chose him because he lived on the streets. He never knew his father or his mother, and she was killed here. Now that the Flash is here, maybe they can work together. Take out Roulette and learn about these new forces. The Flash tells him that the only problem with that is no one can know that the Flash was here. Iris stops him, asking, are you serious? We just met this guy. And the Flash says, Iris, it's the same thing that I felt when I was with Forza. There's a connection here that I feel with Psyche. Once we get him out of here, we'll go back to Central City and Commander Cold will have a look and figure all of this out. A short while later at Roulette's casino, Psyche points out that the psychic blocker that Roulette has protects its guests and says that they need to take that thing out. As the 3 move in, Psyche stops and tells Iris, actually, you should probably hang back. You're the only one without powers and it'd be much safer. She asks, really? And the Flash tells her, he's right. Let me scope out things first and we'll get back to you. She scoffs and a voice calls out to her stating that she isn't sure why they're hanging out with that creep. She looks back asking, excuse me? And the criminal Magpie says, Psyche, he's such a creepo. That's saying something when everyone in this place is on the shady side of things. Iris leans up against the bar asking Magpie to please tell her more. Up close by Roulette's seat, Psyche tells Flash that all they need to do is take down the blocker. Once he does that, they can. So Flash runs over to the blocker, disables it, and comes back asking, what's next? Psyche holds up his hand stating, haha, we're just getting started. Now I can really use my powers to make a big distraction. Flash asks what is he, but before he can finish, Psyche puts Flash back in his costume, shouting to everyone, look who it is! Get him! The Flash starts taking out all of the lowly criminals, and King of the Royal Flush Gang yells, it's time for the Flash to fold! As Flash is forced to defend himself, Psyche sneaks up behind Roulette and using his powers begins to extract information on her entire operation. After a few moments, Psyche says, wow, you got a lot more going on than just these casinos. You are really bad! As Flash takes out the last member of the Royal Flush Gang, Psyche runs out from the back yelling, best plan ever! Let's! But before he could finish, Flash runs through, grabbing both him and Iris, dropping them off on the roof, asking, what the hell was that? You knew me being here could cause an international incident. My cover was blown. Psych says, don't worry. Who are they gonna call? They're all criminals. Once I call Argus, this whole thing will be cleaned up. And Iris stops him. No, it won't. You're lying. You don't work for Argus. You're just some kid who uses his powers to steal information on supervillains and then you blackmail them for money. The whole thing about your parents was a lie. Psych asks, oh yeah, well, that's my cover. Me and Flash have a bond now. You're the one who's lying. Flash tells him that even if he hadn't pulled that stunt back there, he'd believe Iris. I don't need mind-reading powers to know when she's telling the truth. Psych sighs. You're right. You know best. You can go ahead and take me to supervillain jail. Flash reaches out telling him, I don't know about. But before he could finish, Psych yells, Psych! And he starts to use his powers to destroy Flash and Iris's minds. They fall to the ground, screaming in pain as Psych puts on his helmet telling them, I knew you were coming here. There are people who would pay a lot of money for you, so I made a deal. Just then Santiago and Belladonna step out stating, Hi Flash. Ever since we met back in Badanicia, we just had to see you again. Flash begins to get up, telling them leave Iris out of this, and Belladonna says, oh, I wouldn't be too worried about your gal pal. You have something that we've been looking for. Santiago goes on and says, actually, we're much older than we appear. Back in the 40s, we were on the hunt for immortality. All of our search led us to a lab where we learned to drain cosmic energy. That energy is the forces that you seek. Absorbing the forces brings immortality, and we could only siphon so much with the scraps that we had. Then we met and learned that you had the Speed Force. Well, we couldn't pass that up, Flash. With what we know about these forces, we could live forever, together. Psych tells him, cool story, bro. But if you really could just give me my money now? Belladonna grabs Psych by the head asking, did you really think that we would steal Flash's powers and not yours? Santiago reaches for the Flash, and while both him and Psych are having their powers drained, Santiago yells, this is your end! As the two begin to absorb the forces of Sage and Speed, Iris gets up calling out to Flash, tackling into Santiago. Belladonna calls out to Santiago, asking if he's okay, but as he springs back up, he runs with the Flash's speed, stating, actually, I've never felt better. He speeds up, grabbing Iris by the throat, hanging her off the ledge of the roof, telling her, it doesn't matter, we've got their powers. But before he could let her go, the Flash gets back on his feet, helps Psych up, stating, we may be a little weak, but we're gonna have to work together to get through this. Psych shakes off the dizziness and rushes in with the Flash, and as the two of them get close, they combine both the Speed Force and the Sage Force to knock Gemini away. Santiago and Belladonna deflect the attack, with Santiago telling Belladonna, looks like we're going to have to do the same. Psyche gets up, getting ready to attack again, but the Flash tells him, wait, let them share their powers. Santiago and Belladonna get ready to kiss, and as their faces get close, there's a loud crack-a-coom, and the two are blown away. Iris gets up asking, what just happened? And the Flash tells her, it was that way when Heatwave was infused with both forces and nearly killed him. Psych throws his helmet, shouting, no! They tried to kill me. He runs over, grabbing Santiago, asking, you really want to see how far I can push the Sage Force? Let's find out together. Die! He begins to release all of the Sage Force's power directly into Santiago's head. Belladonna screams for him to stop. The Flash rushes in, throwing Psych off, asking, what did you just do? And Psych yells, I turned out his lights. Flash lets go, stating, you can't use your powers like that ever. But Psych knocks his hand away, asking, what do you know about our powers? Turns out, while it was in Santiago's head, Santiago knows more about the forces than we could ever imagine. Flash then asks, what do you mean? And Psych yells, let me show you! Flash then begins to see the images of the Force avatars, and he hears Psych's voice telling him, the four forces did not work together to save the multiverse. Their destiny has always been to be at war, until one of them could finally control the Forever Force. The other forces didn't disappear. The Speed Force avatar banished them. All four can't be free. One must win control, and for one force to live, the other three must die. So whatever you were told about the four working together was a lie. If you want to keep your Speed Force, you're gonna have to fight for it. With another loud crack-a-coom, the Flash and Iris are stunned. Flash stops, stating that he showed him about the new forces and what they really are. So how did Gemini know so much about them? A short while later, in Arkham, after Belladonna is booked, Flash goes to her cell, stating that he's sorry about her husband, but they need to. She stops him, asking, what are you talking about? Santiago's right here, he's here with me! I saved him, can't you see? We're going to escape and steal all the forces together. Your monkey friends told me everything. Flash thinks about it for a moment, and he picks up Iris and he runs to Gorilla City. When they get there, they find it in ruins. The Flash checks around, not finding anyone, but as a fire is lit, one of the Gorilla scientists walks out. The Flash runs over, asking what happened, and the scientist looks back, stating, two thieves that wished for eternal life. They killed all my brothers. They let me live if I told them the truth about the forces. Flash says, it's true then. The four forces never work together, and the scientist tells him, "We hoped that you could bring a change to that. A hero of hope such as yourself could put an end to the war. Solovar's records show that the last war nearly tore the multiverse apart. But that isn't all we hide." Flash takes the tablet, and as he reads it, he says, "I messed up. I had hoped this person was lost in hypertime, but Hunter Zolomon is back. He's the one who killed everyone in Gorilla City." Flash picks up Iris and he begins to run, but before Iris could ask where they're going, she's set down in front of their house. Flash takes off trying to process everything, but instead of looking for Zolomon or anything like that, he thinks back to something Booster Gold had said. He was talking about Sanctuary and acting really weird, and then he mentioned something under his breath. Wally. The Flash hurries over to Sanctuary, and as he opens the door, he finds Wally's lifeless body. The winds quietly blow over the fields of Sanctuary as Flash holds Wally's costume. He stares, thinking back to when Wally was younger and how he grew up into the man that he is today. Without saying a word, the Flash takes off, and before Superman can go after him, Batman tells him, "Let him be." Flash begins to run faster and faster until there's a crack-a-goom as the Flash enters the Speed Force, shouting for Wally. Wally can't really be gone, can he? He has to be somewhere in the Speed Force, right? With the Flash, he falls to his knees, yelling, "He can't. He's not." And then a voice calls out to him. He quickly turns back, and as he does, Godspeed punches him, shouting, "You're not supposed to be here!" Flash rubs his face, asking, "How are you here? Where have you been all this time?" Godspeed runs off, and the Flash chases after him, yelling, "You can't outrun me!" And as the Flash reaches out for him, Godspeed turns around, asking, "Is that a fact? What if I wanted you to believe that?" With a thundering crack-a-goom, Godspeed pushes the two of them back outside of the Speed Force. And the Flash asks, "Is this how you're gonna get your redemption?" Godspeed tells him, "It all takes actions, not words. I've made it my life's mission to clean up the Flash's mess. I'm sorry I gotta leave you now, but the future needs saving." Meanwhile, over in Iron Heights, Kid Flash and Avery pay a visit to Mina when the three of them hear someone calling out. Godspeed stops before them, stating, "Oh look, a family reunion!" And Mina shouts, asking, "What is he doing here?" Godspeed tells her that he came looking for her, but having the kids here saves me some trouble. Flash jumps in front of Godspeed, telling him, "You need to stop before you do something stupid. What is this about, Godspeed?" And Godspeed looks at him. "You're just gonna have to trust me on this. When it's all over, you're gonna see that I'm the hero that I'm trying to be." Flash tells him, "Whatever it is, we can work on it together. But you're not going anywhere near these kids." Godspeed runs around attacking the guards, asking, "What about them? Shouldn't be a problem hurting them, right?" Flash grabs Godspeed, slamming him into the wall, shouting for Kid Flash and Avery to run. And then there's a loud crack as Godspeed shocks the Flash, telling him, "No, stay." The Flash's body is thrown across the jail cell, and Mina tells Godspeed, "Look, the Flash is the only one who ever believed in you. I've studied the Speed Force long enough to know that there's something wrong with you. Is there someone in your head?" Godspeed grabs Mina by the head, telling her, "I've never seemed more lucid." With another crack, lightning strikes Mina, and Godspeed says that he's doing this for their own good. Kid Flash and Avery charge back in, knocking Godspeed back, shouting to get away from her. But as Godspeed runs around them, he tells them, "Come on, chill out. I can only imagine how tense everyone is since Wally kicked the bucket, but fighting isn't gonna make any of us feel any better." Kid Flash and Avery stomp, and they ask, "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" Godspeed asks, "Did Flash really not tell you? Wally West is dead." Godspeed reappears, grabbing Avery, shocking her the same as Mina, and then he moves on to Kid Flash, telling him, "I should forget about being in your Flash family." The Flash leaps up, charging into Godspeed, shouting, "You are not a part of our family. You never have been, and you never will be." He begins to punch Godspeed over and over, and then he stops to breathe, noticing the blood on his hands. Godspeed coughs, telling him, "Now I get it. You gotta burn off those pesky feelings somehow. Someday you'll see. All I'm trying to do is warn you. Whatever you did, they don't just hate the Flash. They hate all speedsters." Godspeed gets up, punching Flash away, telling him that this gauntlet belonged to another speedster and has been modified for a new purpose. "But before I go, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry about your loss." He takes off, asking, "Were they listening? The mission is complete. There are no more speedsters to collect from." But that's when Impulse appears and kicks Godspeed in the head, asking, "Dude, who are you?" Impulse begins to beat into Godspeed, throwing him into a gas station pump, and Godspeed asks, "Who is this? Some new sidekick? Looks like there's one more to collect from." As Godspeed attempts to hit Impulse, though, Impulse vibrates away, and with a loud crack, A voice calls out to Godspeed telling him, "You are not ready for this speedster. Enter the Speed Force now." Godspeed asks, "What are you talking about? He's just a kid." Whatever. I guess teaching him a lesson will have to wait. As Godspeed escapes, Impulse shrugs, asking, "Who's that guy talking to?" "Oh well, I'm gonna need some answers, and I know just where to get them." Later at Star Labs, Kid Flash's scan finishes and he asks, "What did Godspeed do to them?" The Flash says, as far as he can see, nothing. He didn't hurt any of them or leave any lasting effects, so... Mina says that she hates to admit it, but she's stumped too. As the guards take Mina back, Kid Flash jumps on the table and asks, "So are we gonna talk about it? Is Wally dead?" The Flash looks away, telling him it's true. And Kid Flash yells, "Bull! If it was true, you'd be a mess right now. Mina was just here, right? Remember when Godspeed killed her, and now she's walking around? And how about this? Does Iris know Barry?" The Flash tries to think of something to say, but Kid Flash tells him, "I knew it. You couldn't help yourself, still keeping secrets no matter who you hurt. You never change, and that's a Flash fact. Every time you've ever disappointed me or gotten upset, I was the one who ran away, but now it's the Flash's turn." Later back at their home, Iris hears the sound of thunder and she says that she knows that sound. Almost. But before she can even drink from her cup, the Flash runs in. Images of Wally run through Flash's head and Iris turns back asking if he's finally gonna tell her what's going on or... But then she accidentally drops the plate, and as it hits the ground, Iris says that she's used to him grabbing the plate before it lands, but Barry takes off the mask, and he says something bad happened at Sanctuary. Iris throws her cup, shouting, No, we just got him back. Do something, go back in time. People like you and Wally, those heroes always die and come back. We've all seen it before. He came back once before, he could do it again. The Flash reaches out, stating that it's not like that. He saw Wally and she slams her fist on the dining room table, yelling, "You have to find out who did this and kill them!" Flash is taken back by those words and says that she can't mean that. Falls to her knees crying, yelling, "No, she knows, it's just..." But all the Flash can do is comfort Iris the best that he can. In our first epilogue, the Flash Museum, Impulse stares up at the statues of Flash and Wally, stating that this isn't right. Like, it's the same, but something is missing. Wally's costume is super cool and all, but that isn't the Wally that he knows. Even the museum has changed. It's all wrong now. This isn't like time passed or people are missing. This is bigger than that. He may not be able to find his family, but he knows what they would do. And that's never give up hope. I'll see you soon, Wally. I know it. For now, I need to find my friends. Epilogue number 2. Elsewhere, Godspeed steps out of the Speed Force, stating that he did what needed to be done. He betrayed the Flash and it sucked. The voice from before asks, why did he say that he was sorry for his loss? And Godspeed asks, oh, you were listening. I met Wally once, and he knows that Wally meant a lot to Barry. Can't imagine what kind of pain he's in, but then he rushes in and twists the knife. This doesn't sit well with him, and it all better be worth it. The voice tells him it will be. They've seen how the Flash has hurt the time stream. Ever since they were freed from Iron Heights in the 25th century, they have witnessed how destructive the Flash's actions are. Godspeed takes off the gauntlet, handing it over, telling him, yeah, well, this thing worked like a charm. Allowed me to move in and out of the Speed Force with ease, along with getting Speed Force samples of all the speedsters that I could find. The voice tells him, good. The Flash family will pay for what they did to their family. By the time they're finished, there will be no more speedsters. The Batcave. Batman stands over the body of Wally West, a surgical scalpel in his hand. The blade hovers over the hero's skin, but he can't do it, and Batman walks away. Oolong Island. The Justice League is in a heated battle with the Justice League of Amazo, android versions of the team created by Professor Ivo. Wonder Woman is pissed that someone would activate these robots while Green Lantern merely wants to take bets on who can bring down their counterpart first. Batman doesn't hesitate, and he defeats his with some well-placed batarangs. Oh, come on, yours had no powers, Batman, Superman remarks as his own Amazo's arm explodes when it tries to punch the Man of Steel's chest. Before Batman's eyes, Superman's visage flashes and he's looking at the hero known as Commander Steel, a hero who died during the Sanctuary incident. Batman stares stunned, but just as quickly the image is gone and Superman is standing there. Batman, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Shrugging it off, Batman tells Superman to stay on mission, with the rest of the team remarking that he's just grumpy because the sun's out. Off the team channel, Batman reaches to Alfred in the Batcave, telling him to look for any hallucinations in his system. But his faithful butler tells him that he just needs a good night's sleep as Amazo Flash rushes him from behind. Before any of the other League members can assist him, Batman jumps over the android's head, unclipping his utility belt and wrapping it around the android's throat. Driving his knee into its back, he pulls with all of his strength. Images of Sanctuary flash through his vision until he finally rips off Flash Amazo's head. The League stands victorious, all exhausted with what seems like endless emergencies. They turn, but Batman is already gone. Green Lantern looks over at the Flash, wondering if he wants to grab a bite to eat. Without a response, the fastest man alive merely leaves, gone at a streak of lightning. It's nothing personal, though. Both Batman and the Flash are wrapped up in the tragedy of Sanctuary. Flash lost Wally West while both he and Batman have been working on the investigation. They've both come up with zero answers. Later, at the Flash Museum, the crowds are gathering, as they always do, for the museum of one of the most beloved heroes in the Justice League. As the patrons are enjoying the various displays from the history of the Flash, the building suddenly shakes as something impacts with the ceiling. The building quakes and the destruction rains down on the people below. And in the dust and shadows, a lone caped figure looks up at the crowds. Run. Panic fills the air as the people begin to flee in fear. Inside, a man grabs his daughter, trying to dodge the destruction as they flee out of the building. And his daughter points. "Flash!" she yells, but he keeps running. The Flash isn't there, but she points again. Outside, the massive Flash statue begins to fall as its leg is snapped in half. The man turns, trying to shield his daughter from their inevitable fate. But that's when they're pulled free as Batman swings in, and once they are safely away, Batman wordlessly stalks into the museum, drawing his batarangs for a fight. But the room, it's empty. A noise behind him causes Batman to turn, throwing his batarangs, but the Flash merely catches them. He isn't here to fight, and he's surprised that he was able to sneak up on Batman. The person who did this is gone. Flash understands, but their work isn't done, and he speeds outside, helping those he can by giving them first aid and food. No matter how crazy things get, it makes them feel better when they see a smile. Batman watches the fastest man alive, seeing images of Wally once more. He was on his way back to Gotham when he heard the alarms. Flash understands he needs to gather evidence, so Batman can go ahead and pull his vanishing act. We can tackle this case together, like the old days. The words bring memories of the past when Flash and Kid Flash worked with Batman and Robin. Images of Wally laughing and joking, they're painful, and they bring silence from Barry. Barry has dealt with many mysteries in his career, and he's sick of lies. He knows Batman wasn't just passing. I want the truth now. Batman admits it, he knew the attack was coming. Similar attacks have happened around Gotham. Small, really, no injuries. Clearly, things are escalating. Who? Barry asks. So Batman tells him that he thinks it's Gotham Girl, a former hero who was manipulated by Psycho Pirate alongside her brother. Her powers would have killed her, so Batman benched her. They don't know why she's attacking, but they have to find her. And in her secret lair, Gotham Girl moves forward through the shadow. The Flash is involved now, and a big smile crosses her face. Nothing will stop her from becoming a hero. Nothing will stop her from saving her brother. She speaks to her brother, but he barely listens. Tubes pump green liquid into his body as he slumps to the floor. "Help me!" He struggles as his head falls. Gotham Girl begs him to stay with her, but she also seems to be speaking to someone in the shadows. Someone who promised to help her, to help bring Gotham back, to help become the heroes again. Back at the Flash Museum, Batman and Flash continue to work the crime scene. While they're both helping, the stress of Sanctuary has taken its toll on their teamwork, and they're both lost in their own thoughts. The two of them are doing their best, but seeing each other only reminds them of what they can't solve. Despite these thoughts, they're both excellent detectives, and a leaf points them in the direction of the Caribbean. The only question now is, can the top-speed Batwing keep up with the Flash? The island seems deserted, as if no one's been there for years. But a quick run around by the Flash reveals footprints and a plant that they found at the museum. Also, there's a giant evil-looking fortress, and that seems to be a really big clue. Before they can decide how to proceed, a call comes over Barry's comms. The two begin to walk in, as the voice of Iris asks Barry where is he. They're supposed to talk to Wallace about what happened to Wally today. But knowing that he's working with Batman only makes Iris angry, and Barry hangs up after she asks him to pass along a message. One that he'd rather not relay to Batman. Further into the base, the two heroes discover a room full of obsession. Pictures of the Justice League lining the walls, images of the heroes in action saving people. Gotham Girl and her brother were saved by Batman when they were younger. They wanted to become heroes like him, save others in the world, but their powers were killing them. After her brother's death, Batman forced her to stop being a hero. I told her it was because she would die from using her powers, but the reality was, I didn't want this life for her. But it didn't matter. Both Bruce and Barry know that if someone wants to be a hero, nothing can stop them. These words would bring back Flash's memories of when Wally first got his powers. Of their first conversations about Wally's costume. Who made Gotham and Gotham Girl's costumes? Barry asks. They didn't do it themselves. Barry helped Wally. Alfred helped the Robins. Somebody was there for them. Somebody helped them. For the world's greatest detective, you sure miss a lot, Batman. Is this really the time to bring up Sanctuary? The Dark Knight questions, but the two are interrupted by a strange buzzing sound coming from deeper within the fortress. Moving into another chamber, they find cryotubes, and the bodies within are slumped over, dead. Barry finds 2 tubes that are unoccupied and opened. The chemicals within aren't supernatural. Barry can quickly determine the chemical compounds. They all have one base: venom, the thing that Bane uses to power up his abilities. Batman is immediately on guard. This place is a trap. Somebody wanted them to find these bodies. Suddenly, Flash stops, his question coming from the other side of the room. He turns and one of Sanctuary's masks are in his hands. Did Gotham Girl ever go to Sanctuary? But Batman knows that if that mask is here, it's because somebody wanted them to find it. He continues to scan the room, batarang ready, but Flash won't let it go. He's suddenly beside Batman, repeating the question, did Gotham Girl go to Sanctuary? There's no time for a response though, as the wall beside them crumbles, and Gotham Girl comes flying in through the rubble. Batman tries to talk to her. No one was hurt in the other attacks. She can stop this. The Flash tries to stop her as she makes her way to the super venom, but Gotham Girl is fast and strong and simply backhands him away. Plugging the vial into the machine causes a reaction, and suddenly the tubes open up as Batman and Flash watch the preserved experiments moving towards them. Gotham Girl floats over them. Your lives inspire others to be heroes. Now these prototypes wish to prove themselves. The strange, superpowered zombies begin to attack the heroes, with the Flash's fists moving in a blur. They don't understand if she continues to use her powers, she'll die. Gotham Girl agrees, but she'll die a hero. Shouldn't I want to die a hero? Batman continues to fight to reach her. Her brother wouldn't have wanted this. Claire orders him not to talk about her brother, and with these final words, she leaves our heroes to their fight. Claire can feel her powers breaking down her body as she flies through the night air. But she didn't have a cool origin story, so she needs one. She pushes through the pain, pushing herself faster through the sky. If she is to be a great hero, she's going to need a great origin story. Back at the island fortress, though, in a massive battle, Batman and Flash continue their fight. They're fighting super serum zombies that aren't alive, so Batman orders Flash not to hold back. Problem is, this is like fighting an army of undead supermen, and they're running out of time. Despite the fight, though, Flash wants to know the important question, as he found a psycho-pirate mask right here in this battle. Did Batman bring Gotham Girl to Sanctuary? Could she be the cause of the death of their friends? Batman tells him, I don't know how she got that mask. We have to stop following her plan and come up with one of our own. Whoever is behind Gotham Girl is using her and the events of Sanctuary to hide their actions. They need to make the zombies burn themselves out, as the powers of Gotham and Gotham Girl kill them slowly as they use the abilities. These, being imperfect zombies, will burn out faster than the normal people of Gotham and Gotham Girl. Hopping onto Flash's back, Batman uses himself as bait, forcing the creatures to chase after them. The zombies follow them as they zip around the base, and one by one they burn out bright, until finally the last one falls. But for Flash, it's a hollow victory. All these people wanted was to be heroes. The Flash turns on Batman, anger in his words. This is your fault! Another mystery built by you that bites the rest of us in the ass! He turns to leave. He needs to be at Central City and stop whatever Gotham Girl is planning. And Batman can't stop him as gravel hits his face with Barry speeding away. Back at the Central City PD headquarters, Iris West is searching for a picture of her, Barry, and Wally. After finding what she wanted, she moves to leave the building, when suddenly the roof collapses as Gotham Girl lands in the room. But Flash is there, ordering her to stop as he moves around, helping people. Whoever put you up to this, you don't need to do what they say! The woman just laughs at him, though. If he just left Batman behind, well, that wasn't very heroic, was it, Flash? Flash tries to get through to her. He knows that losing her brother hurts. He lost someone too. He would have told Wally to stop being a hero if he could, but he knew Wally West wouldn't listen. Just like he knows that this destruction will not bring Gotham back. But these words only bring a smile to Gotham Girl's lips. Gotham isn't dead. And from behind her, the hero once known as Gotham floats into the room. The last time that we saw each other, Flash, I took down the whole Justice League. Do you think you have a chance? Gotham finishes his taunt by flying across the room, his fist aimed towards the Flash's head. Luckily, the Flash is fast and avoids the blow. But back on the island, Batman has finally reached the Batwing and he orders it to head over to Central City at top speed. In our fight though, the Flash continues to avoid Gotham's blows, trying to reach the former hero and his sister. They are both going to die if they continue to use their powers. He doesn't understand. Batman and the Flash are trying to help him. But the Flash gets distracted when he sees Iris, and a punch from Gotham sends him careening out of the building, bouncing off one another until he finally lands on a taxi in the street below. Gotham lifts the hero up from the wreckage. They used to look up to the Flash as well, debating whether they should have super speed or flight. Haha, luckily, we got it all. In the Batwing, the warning lights are flashing as the engines are being strained. Batman ignores it, pushing onward, with Alfred coming over the comms, warning Bruce, "You need to eject, sir." Suddenly, Gotham drops Flash as his body begins to break. He seems to be melting right before their eyes. Gotham Girl holds her brother in her arms as he becomes a husk of what he once was. He promised it would be different this time. She begins to cry. Iris helps Barry to his feet, asking whether Gotham Girl was the one who killed Gotham. But Barry knows that she is just innocent. Gotham Girl continues to cry, tears flowing down her face. Her brother was too far gone. He was already dead. And she whirls in the Flash, her fist raised. "Just like you!" But she's suddenly stopped as a bolo wraps around her neck, exploding around her head. It barely slows her though as Batman lands on the pavement before them. He tries to reach her. He tries to make her see that living the life of a hero is hard. He can still help her. "Where did you get the serum?" But it doesn't matter. Gotham Girl injects it into her neck, with her body beginning to glow as Batman yells for her to stop. But Gotham Girl knows. Being a hero means living with the pain. Doing anything to avenge the ones you love. Before Batman, Gotham Girl rises, her body glowing with raw power. The Flash continues to drag people out of the wreckage as Gotham Girl unleashes her new powers on the city, wiping out entire city blocks with beams from her eyes. Batman tries to get her attention. He doesn't want to hurt her, but he will if she doesn't stop. But his batarangs are nothing, snapping as they even get close to her power. Gotham Girl is sick of Batman thinking that he is in control, and she launches more energy at him. The blast would have killed him, but luckily the Flash is there to pull him free. Barry doesn't want to fight her. He wants to understand. He wants to help. They tell her to stop using her powers, but if she doesn't, she's going to die. But without her powers, Claire is nothing, and her brother knew that. Suddenly, Claire stops, her flight wavering slightly. She vomits greenish fluid seemingly exploding out of her, and she falls. The heroes rush in, performing CPR, trying to bring her back around. They won't lose another hero. They've lost too many at Sanctuary. Each sees those that they have lost as they try to bring Claire back to life. Batman offers to use the defibrillator on his belt, but Flash knows it'll take more than that, and he generates lightning with his speed. The electricity jolts through Claire, bringing her back and forcing the rest of the serum out of her body. "Batman, where am I?" she asks shakily. The girl, well, she remembers nothing. They should get her to the cave to help her. "Like you helped Wally!" The cry reaches them as Iris forces her way through the rubble. She blames them. They brought another young person into their world without any thought of the repercussions. She's not afraid of Batman. His words bring nothing but a slap to the face. The two don't have time for this. She just tells them to leave. In the Batcave, Batman has managed to replicate the stasis tubes from the island fortress, allowing Gotham Girl to stay there until her body recovers. She seems to have no memory of the island, who gave her the serum, or why she attacked the museum, but now that Flash has saved her, Batman can do what he should have done in the beginning, help her become a hero. But Barry doesn't agree. They keep bringing people into this life even though they know it's wrong. Batman questions what happened to the hopeful, optimistic Barry Allen. He died with Wally West! Batman always acts like he knows everything, but Barry knows that he's just as clueless as everyone else. The greatest trick that Batman ever pulled off was making people think that he always had a plan. We need to stop this. The price for wearing these costumes is too high. But Batman knows. We pay the price so that our loved ones don't have to. But they do pay a price. They pay the price because the heroes keep failing. It's always another mystery, another villain, another innocent in the crossfire, another dead Robin, Flash says as he begins to leave the cave, anger flashing in Bruce's eyes. At least I never forgot that one of my partners existed. Barry turns, anger in his eyes, lightning cracking. The cave can sense the danger and it begins to activate countermeasures. Energy is shot at the speedster, but he is too fast. Batman has prepared, but the Flash is too fast, stopping his fist inches from Batman's face. "I could have hit you 100 times before you threw one punch," Barry says as he leaves, leaving Bruce alone in his cave. Returning home, he finds a letter from Iris. She can't stay anymore. She wanted to write Wally's obituary, but she realized that she was writing Barry's. The hero rushes out into the night, and in Central City, the Flash fights crime. In Gotham, Batman fights crime. This is the life that they lead. This is their life. They can save everyone, but in the end, they are alone. In the near future, Batman sits in front of his computer with Superman at his back. They saved the multiverse so many times, but this time it's different. They don't know who they can trust. We can trust the Flash, right? Now, as the original Trickster, James Jesse stands in his hideout in Central City. He says his name is one people won't ever forget. He is about to pull off the greatest con man has ever seen. It will have everyone's eyes, including the Flash, on him. But who was James Jesse before Trickster? Well, that's what this story is about. Growing up, James lived the life of a circus performer, though it wasn't the one that he wanted. You see, James's parents made it clear to him that they weren't proud of him because of all the time he spent reading books. They would tell him that he should be practicing the family business rather than wasting his time with those stories. And his parents, well, they were nothing but lying cheats. Hell, his parents named themselves the Flying Jessies, trying to copy the Flying Graysons. This was also after the Graysons' accident, and his parents just wanted to capitalize on their deaths. James wanted nothing more than to lose himself in his books, but time and time again, his parents would literally drag him on stage to walk the tightrope. The crowd could even tell that James didn't want to be there, even though they would call out to not push the boy. The crowd did nothing. James would eventually run away from that circus life, but the circus life was still always a part of him. He pulled off a con disguised as a lab tech at Star Labs, and he sold the tech to LexCorp. But even then, he lived that scam so long that he picked up a few things, like how to make shoes that let him run on air, which is how he got the name, the Trickster. He would always try to pull one over on the Flash, but one day the Flash said something. "You need a new gimmick. Everyone knows you're just a con man." And the Flash was right. The Trickster's acts were growing stale. Normally, he would just escape prison anytime that he was caught, but when he was sent to Iron Heights, well, everything changed. James tried to escape by using his old tricks, but Warden Wolf always caught him and beat him. People began to forget about him. Even some new kid showed up, starting to use his name. That was it, though. The straw that broke the camel's back. He had to get out and reclaim the title of the Trickster. But Wolf, well, he had a way of breaking people, and he told James that even after everything he had done, he wasn't impressive. "If you're so great, why doesn't anyone in Central City even remember you? You're forgotten, James Jesse," Wolf said. And that's when things turned for the worst. You see, back in the circus, James was scared of heights. In fact, he was so scared that there was only one escape route that he never took because he was scared of heights. Wolf was so mad to cover up his own skin, he burned any evidence that James Jesse was even there. However, it was something that happened after the show when he was younger that made him realize what the world really is. While he and his parents performed, there were people in the crowds pickpocketing everyone. His parents were stealing from anyone that they could. And when he asked how they did it, they ignored him, stating that if he wants to be someone, he needs cash. He must learn to deceive and to succeed. They were right. Money is everything. If you don't have it, you're just a waste. This new trick will be so great that the people of Central City will never forget about James Jesse, ever. They'll see. They'll be so impressed. But now, we go to the current issue of The Flash. The current storyline continuing the story of the Forces. Now lately, death has been surrounding the Flash, and not just because he's fighting Black Hand in Opal City. This is just an outlet to stop a cult who actually worships death. But what's really getting under the Flash's skin is that the perp he's searching for just can't be tracked down. Hunter Zolomon. Hunter was an enemy of Wally's that took up the name of Zoom, and now he's calling himself the True Flash. He's already gotten a head start on his quest, and that's where the real problem is. It's not a matter that Hunter is faster than the Flash, it's that he himself is getting slower. Maybe he just needs to fall back into a case to take his mind off of things. With everything that's recently happened with Batman and Iris, maybe he should just go home. If you're wondering about that, this is taking place right after a crossover storyline with Batman, and I will link that down below. Commander Cold, an individual from the future who has come back in time using the name Cold as his superhero alias, and he's trying to help the Flash, left him a message stating that he was needed at Iron Heights and that dropping off the Black Hand cult leader is a good enough excuse just to do that. However, when the Flash gets to prison, he notices something odd. All of the guards there, well, they're happy. Iron Heights was a very gloomy place, so why is everyone smiling and looking so cheerful? The guards tell him that they haven't had a new inmate in days. In fact, there hasn't been any incidents at Iron Heights in the past few weeks. Flash shrugs it off, calling out to Wolf, stating that he knows that Cold isn't his best friend or anything. But has he heard from him at all? Wolf turns with the biggest smile on his face, something very out of character for this man, stating, "No, I can't say that I have. I'm sure Commander Cold is just fine. Thanks for delivering the new inmate. We'll take good care of him." As the cult leader is taken away, he asks, can he be taken to Arkham instead? This place is giving him the creeps. Flash thinks to himself that this cult leader is not the only one. As long as he's known Wolf, he's never even cracked a grin, ever. Flash heads back into the city to go to work, but when he gets to the police department, he sees everyone there is smiles as well. He starts to wonder if maybe he's been away from Central City too long. He asks Kristen what's got everyone in a good mood, and she states asking what's wrong with everyone being in a good mood. Here, she'll show him why everyone's in a good mood. They both head to a holding cell, and she opens up the door, but there's no one inside. The Flash asks why is it empty, and Kristen says that that's just it. There hasn't been a single crime committed in Central City in weeks, not even a speeding ticket. Flash looks around, stating that that's impossible, and that's when Director Singh walks in yelling to the Flash, "Don't jinx us!" And he smiles, telling him, "I'm just kidding. It's good to see you, Barry." Flash asks him, isn't it a bit strange that they haven't had any crime in Central City? And Singh tells him that he should be careful for what he wishes for and just be happy. The three head back upstairs, where Kristen gets a text and shouts that her boyfriend is here. "Barry Allen, meet my new boyfriend, James Jesse." Kristen runs over hugging him, and James says that he's heard so much about the famous Barry Allen. "I would have come by Iron Heights, but that place gives me the heebie-jeebies." Flash stares for a moment, stating that James looks familiar, and James tells him that, "Haha, I've just got that kind of face. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of each other, Barry." Singh then grabs his coat, stating that they're all going to be heading down to the pub, asking Flash if he would like to go. The Flash tells him no, he's going to head home for the night, and as he leaves, he looks at all of the townspeople, seeing them all happy. He leaves for a few weeks and the city is better off? I mean, he wasn't expecting a hero's welcome, but this is just too suspicious, right? Or is he just being paranoid? He needs to find Cold and figure this whole thing out. He hasn't been able to get a hold of Commander Cold since he got back. Why would he want him to go to Iron Heights anyway? So, Barry changes into his costume and begins to track down Cold's last known location since the two of them have been connected. He begins to feel out the frequency's trail and it leads him to an alley. He looks around and sees some of Cold's broken tech on the ground and he thinks that that's strange. Cold was very protective of his future tech. He would never leave it just lying around. He needs to go back to Iron Heights and figure out exactly what happened. So he returns to the prison where Wolf tells him that he hasn't heard from Cold in a while and there hasn't been any arrests. He should just relax. Just then the Flash hears someone calling out, and when he looks over, he sees the cult leader. He bows, telling him, "I want to thank you, this place is wonderful. I've never been so happy." Flash shouts, asking, "What is happening here? You were talking this way when you were caught. What changed?" With no other leads, the Flash races back to the precinct to talk to Detective Burns, who's recently been seeing Cold. She says that she'd rather not talk about it, but don't worry, she's happy. Flash tells her no, she can drop the act. Where is Commander Cold? Burns pushes Flash into a locker, asking, "Why can't you just let me be happy, please? You must be happy." Flash sees Burns struggling to keep the smile, but Burns turns around, banging her head on a desk, saying that it's much better if they're all just happy. Can't you see that, Barry? Soon, everyone in the precinct reaches out towards Flash, telling him, "We just want you to be happy too." Later, back at Iron Heights, James has turned the prison into a giant circus where Axel, the newest Trickster, says that they've got some new people that need to be re-educated. Kristen then runs up, giving James a kiss, stating that she has brought in her good friend Barry Allen. He's always been a downer. She knows that you can help him. James tells her that Barry and the rest of their guests will be right as rain as soon as they stroll through our happy machines. Now, don't be shy. Soon the group walks through the cylinder-like device and the Flash steps out, stating that he feels happy. Kristen runs over, asking if it's much better. "Don't you feel great?" And the Flash tells her, "I feel so happy right now." One of the guards laughs, stating, "Okie dokie, let's get everyone all back home and we can keep living out a life of joy and happiness." While the group moves, Barry quickly ducks around the corner, changing into his Flash costume. Now, he knows who James Jesse is. He's the original Trickster. And now that he knows what he's up against, it's time to get to work. He was able to trick his way through James's machine by keeping himself at a low-level vibration so that it wouldn't affect him. So it's time that they took a look around the place to But just then the Flash gets an incoming signal from Cold that his location is somewhere off in the prison. Flash rushes down to the lower levels to see Cold tied up to a pole, and as he gets there, there's a loud boom! Axel jumps in with his boomstick cannon, yelling to the Flash, "Look alive, Flash!" Flash asks what's going on, but Axel fires the cannon again, wrapping Flash up in a spring glove. Flash easily breaks free, asking when did he start working with James Jesse? Axel tosses a flaming alphabet block, asking, "You mean my idol? My inspiration?" When I heard the plan for James's trick, I knew I had to be there. Flash creates a tornado, throwing the block back, causing it to explode on Axel, asking, "What is James planning?" The explosion knocks Axel out, so Flash hurries over to help Cold, stating that he's sorry for being late. Cold gets up, telling him, "It's not that. It's the Sage Force. James is using his tech with it to control the people." Flash asks, "Is that what you called about?" And Cold tells him, "I didn't call you, Flash." Just then, both Flash and Cold are trapped in a bubble, with James yelling, "That prank was all me. Bet you didn't think Trickster would reveal himself as the greatest enemy, huh, Flash?" Flash tells him that he hasn't thought about him in years. And James tells him, "That's the problem. You know they pulled a scam on the devil, right? Even still, the people not remembering who I was, it made it much easier to work behind the scenes and prepare for the big return. One day, a gift from the heavens came to me, the Strength Force. So when Axel came to me for help, he told me all about the new forces, and I was able to gather just enough of the Sage Force to make some new toys to play with." Flash tells him, "Wait, the Sage Force gun that I found at Corte Maltese, that was you?" James then motions to Wolf, telling him, "Look how happy these people are." Wolf begins to snap out of his trance as he lunges for James, but James cracks him in the head, telling him, "You gotta be careful with that temper." As the trance comes back, Wolf stands up, telling him, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what came over me. I'm in a better mood now." James punches Wolf down, asking, "Why don't you share that love with Fleetfoot over there and tell him what happened? Tell him why everyone forgot about me." Wolf leans up from the beating, stating, "James was an inmate here. I tortured him for years, using him as a guinea pig to test Ironhide security. When he escaped, I buried the evidence, all of it. I made it so that James Jesse was a ghost." James stands up, asking the Flash, "Do you see it now? This is why I needed to set the stage for a trick worth my big comeback." But Cold holds his hands out, creating a snowflake, stating, "The problem with you using my own tech is that I'm a master of it too, so I've got a few tricks up my sleeve." The barrier shatters, freeing the two of them, and James jumps and throws exploding alphabet blocks, yelling, "No fair! You cheated!" Flash chases after James, telling him to turn it off, but Cold runs in, stating that they need to be careful with how they do this. James has been using the Sage Force for more than just making people happy. He's controlling them too. The people of Central City have been happy for a few days, right? Those people will do anything to protect their happiness, including killing each other for it. As Flash watches the monitors, he sees everyone erupt into an all-out brawl. He begins to ask, what has he done? James fixes his coat, asking, "Who am I to question what makes people happy?" Flash then gets ready to leave, telling Cold to handle James while he heads out to help the people. But as soon as the Flash turns his back, Cold turns and shoots his cold gun at Flash, freezing him in place. James starts laughing, stating, Cold has seen the bright side of life too. It was amazing how you thought you were winning for a moment, Flash." James then squeezes a rubber chicken, electrocuting Flash and knocking him out, telling him that he fell for the greatest trick of all time. Again. A short while later, Flash wakes up when James is blowing a party whistle. Flash is startled and James yells, "He's alive!" Flash shifts, asking what is he going to do, and James tells him that he's just watching his trick unfold. See, he could kill everyone. That's something people would remember. But death feels so small. That's when it hit me. I could show Central City how fake their happiness really was. That'll leave them all empty. Flash begins to vibrate through the ropes, ripping them off, stating, "You know these can't hold me. I'm gonna save these people from your sick games," but as he gets up, he falls flat face first on the ground. James asks, "How are you gonna do that after I made your legs disappear?" And the Flash glances down to see his legs have been cut off. He starts reaching to where those legs used to be, stating that it has to be a trick, it has to be a trick! But as James leaves, Cold says that he should be happy. There's a silver lining in everything. You just need to know where to look. Flash shouts, asking, "What did you do?" And Cold tells him, "We were set free. Before James came back into my life, I was always angry. Mainly because I was stuck in your stupid time period. But now there's no need to be afraid. I missed my home so badly that is all I thought about. Afraid of something bad happening to my friends. Every time I think about them, it just makes me so angry." Meanwhile, on the rooftops of Iron Heights, James walks out to see his parents, stating, "Just look at it all, son! Your greatest stage of all, and you've won! And you did it all for us." Back below, Cold stands up, stating that he's not sure what happened. He was thinking about the renegades being hurt, and suddenly James's spell wore off. Flash continues to reach for his legs, stating that he needs help. He can't tell if James really cut off his legs or it's all in his head. So Cole tells him that he needs to think of something that will break the illusion. Think long and hard. Flash pauses for a moment and thinks carefully. He came back to Central City because he wanted a distraction. He wanted to run away from his failures. And James's spell took that away. Sometimes it'd be easier to believe the trick. To just give into the magic and ignore what is really going on. He's been ignoring his own feelings a lot lately. It's not out of anger or fear or pessimism. Admitting to himself that he knows that he can deal with it, it makes him happy. Back up top, James pushes his parents over the ledge, shouting, "Do you remember what you taught me? To lie, to cheat, to deceive, to climb. No matter how afraid I was, I did it all for you, to make you happy." Just then the Flash runs through the courtyard, grabbing both of James's parents, stating that the show's over, James. Good thing that you were already at Iron Heights. It's gonna save me a trip. James sighs, stating that it looks like he saw through the trick, but it doesn't matter. I still showed the citizens of Central City that they can't send inmates to Iron Heights. Flash grabs James, telling him to fix this or else. And James asks, or else what? You'll never hurt me. How about you use that speedy mind to figure this one out? Right now, you can either save the citizens of Central City or you'll stop the inmates I set free who have been stealing loot this entire time. Clock's a ticking, Flash! Dozens of lights begin to flash and blind the Flash. And when he opens his eyes, James is nowhere to be found. So first, Flash runs both of James's parents off the island, telling them to try not to ruin any more childhoods before running back and meeting up with Commander Cold. Cold says that he took a look at everything and James is way smarter than he should be. He's rigged his machine so that if they pull the plug at everything, it'll end up killing them. They need to use a small rig to reverse every single person under his spell, one by one. Flash suits up with Cold's makeshift rig, and he begins to run as fast as he can to each and every person in the city. He pushes himself harder than he has in months, past the anger, past the pain, past the failures. It hurts to run that fast, but he can't stop now. He has to save the city, even if it means taking away their fake happiness. And just as the Flash reverses the spell on the last person, the makeshift rig falls apart, and he says that there's one problem. Now what about the rogues? Cold flies in, stating that he got word from the Coast Guard that the rogues took everything back to Iron Heights. So Flash turns and races towards the prison, but as he gets close, there's a loud boom as the entire prison explodes. The Flash was too slow. Later, as the media arrives, one reporter says that they believe the explosion was to cover up James Jesse's tracks after his daring heist. But even with James missing, things are slowly starting to go back to normal. Kristen and Singh gather enough evidence to build a case against Wolf, and he's put away in Belle Reve, right next to Captain Cold. Singh has also reassigned Flash back to the crime lab so that he can examine the evidence from the Iron Heights explosion. Every piece is just a reminder to him of what he's lost. But hopefully, with this, he can. As Flash opens up the door to his office, he sees a man in a hood standing there, and the man looks back asking if this is where it happened, where his life changed. Flash tells him the area is off limits. He's not sure who he is, but the man turns back with a green glow in his eyes. If he had a name, it would be Steadfast. Flash says that he knows that energy. You have the Still Force. I thought only Grodd and the Turtle had the Still Force. I've been searching, but as he walks, he feels himself locked in position. Steadfast tells him that he should no longer go forward, he must go back. For the multiverse to survive what is to come, Barry Allen, you must remember. Remember something that you have forgotten from your past. A green light washes over the Flash as he sees himself sitting in a room as a child and his mom shouting, "Bartholomew Henry Allen, if you want to go back to the comic book store, we need to leave right now." The young Flash throws his papers. He runs out of the room yelling, "Coming, Mom!" And that's when there's a loud crack as lightning strikes. As lightning strikes over the young Barry Allen's home, he watches from a window sitting in his attic. His mother, Nora, calls out asking what he's doing up there, and Barry goes back to the old box of comics, stating that he's just looking for something to read. Nora looks out the window asking what's got him reading her old comics, and Barry says that he's not sure. It's just that the classic heroes are so cool, good beating evil and all of that. But as Barry looks down, Nora lifts her head and sees a bruise and asks where did he get that from. He tells her it's nothing. He's not getting picked on or anything. There's just some kids bullying someone, and he couldn't stand there and do nothing, right? Bad things might come of it in the future, but he knows the heroes that he reads about would never let something like that get them down. Nora hugs her son, stating that he's always hopeful, and whatever happens in this life, never lose that. Please, 15 years later, on February 11th, Barry heads downtown to process another crime scene with Officer August Hart. August looks at the man on the ground, stating that, from the looks of things, the man was shot in the back of the head. His gut says that it was a mob hit, probably brought to his knees, and then bang. Barry looks at the position of the deceased man's feet and the blood spatter and says, no, the victim was killed running. If he really wanted to become a detective, he can't rush judgment on any case. August laughs, telling him, that's why you're the best, Barry. But then a voice says, that's the word on the street, but Barry Allen never gives me the time of day. August then says that if it isn't Iris West, she shows up to these scenes so much that one might think that she's a serial murderer. Iris brushes him off, stating that she's just here to chase a story, and Central City's favorite CSI is 100% a story. It's just that every time she attempts to interview Mr. Allen, he dodges. Barry begins to tell her that he can't say anything because it's still an ongoing case, but August pushes him, stating, oh, it's okay. Barry's being shy. Iris then says that she knows deep down that there's a headline in him, but duty calls elsewhere this morning. The next time that she sends a text, though, he better answer. A short while later, Barry heads into the lab to process the evidence when he mistakenly bumps into a man playing with his kids in the street. Barry tells the man that he's sorry, but the man tells him it's fine. Mistakes happen. And a few seconds later, the rain begins to come in, and one of the man's children yells that it stinks. The father says that they shouldn't be out in the street after dark anyway. But you know what? The sun will come out tomorrow. Barry listens, stating that he wished that he had shared that same sense of optimism. It's nights like this that remind him of his mother and him reading comics in the attic. In fact, that was the last time that he could remember being happy. After her murder, he worked so hard to learn everything that there was to learn about forensic evidence. The court said that his father killed his mother, and that the case was closed, that there's no justice for her, and now an innocent man sits in jail. As Barry gets to work, he gets a text from Iris asking if he wants to grab something to eat. He thinks about it for a moment. Just then, lightning strikes through the window, shattering the test tube and throwing the chemicals all over Barry's body. That was February 11th. Now, it's June 15th, and Barry Allen awakens from his coma. Visions of the past startle him as he screams out from his bed, knocking his plate of food over. He tries to catch it, and to his surprise, well, he does. The food, the drink, even the jello, but how? He tells himself he just needs to get home. But before he can even think about it, he's home. He rushes back to his lab to figure out what's happening. And that's when August hears something and asks who's there. But before August knew it, Barry had ran into the locker room, changed, and walked out wearing a tie. The next day, Barry sat down to try and process everything that is actually happening. His body is the crime scene. He just needs to put together the pieces. His blood looks normal, but the molecules have been energized. His calorie intake has increased to make up for the increased metabolism. He runs so fast that he sets fire to his shoes. And if he vibrates his molecules at the right frequency, he can phase through walls. But if there's even a slight error, which there always is, the object he's phasing through explodes. He can't create tornadoes, finding out how fast he can go, and when he tries to anyway, he burns through more pairs of shoes. Wayne's tech donated fireproof equipment to the fire department, so with those new shoes, he should be able to find out what his actual top speed is. So he readies himself, and he runs. 100 miles per hour, easy. 200, no problem. It's actually starting to feel better, good even. Forget the past and the science for a moment and just run. And you know what? It's kind of fun. Just then there's a loud crack-a-boom, and Barry ends up tripping. He falls sliding on the ground and he hears a voice shouting, "Hurry up!" Barry looks up to see an army wearing green capturing people, and then a newspaper on the ground with the headline, "Flash loses Central City." Barry asks, what is this? Is it a nightmare? And as one of the soldiers sees him and asks what he's doing out of the shell, they tell him that he needs to come with them. Barry steps back trying to figure out what happened, and a red blur shoots by with a voice yelling, "Damn it, Barry! You shouldn't be here!" The red blur stops, and a man wearing a red uniform with a lightning bolt on it says, "When are we going to learn how dangerous time travel is?" Barry's mind begins to race, trying to understand what is going on as he looks at all of the horrible things around him. The man stops him, telling him, "I know what's going on with your head right now, but trust me when I say this, it'll all be okay." Barry asks who he is, and the man says, "I thought you would take a guess on the resemblance, but I'm you, well, a few years closer to the finish line." Barry smacks the old man's hand away, stating, No, this isn't real. This is a nightmare. I'm still in the hospital, right? Or did I die?" And the old man tells Barry, "Slow down a second. Time travel can be a little disorienting. You gotta breathe." But that's when a soldier yells, "It's the Flash! 2 of them!" Old man Flash grabs Barry, telling him, "We gotta leave. If there's one thing that I've learned over the years, is that if you stand still to avoid crazy, the crazy will come for you. Right now, the priority is getting home. If we stick around, those turtle guards will catch up. Barry says that he knew it. He knew the future would be horrible, that they'd screw up everything. And Old Man Flash laughs. I can't believe I was ever that pessimistic. So Barry stops and trips, asking, "It's true? You're really the Barry Allen of the future?" And Old Man Flash stops, telling him, "People call me the Flash these days. Fastest man alive." Barry then asks, "How did you stop without tripping?" So Old Man Flash tells him, "You gotta slide into it." And as the two continue, Barry then asks, "You're the future me. You're a superhero? This is insane. I don't even like leaving my lab. How did I become a superhero?" Old Man Flash tells him, "I can't explain that, but I can say that this has happened before. Right now, our life is a loop that can't be broken. If we were to create a time paradox, we would destroy all of reality, and we can't risk that. But now that we've got a second to breathe, we need to make sure that you know which timeline you're in. So here's a few questions to get things straight. Who is Iris? Wally? Wallace? August? Who killed our mother?" Barry thinks for a second, stating that Iris is just a friend. He doesn't know anyone named Wally or Wallace. August is a friend at the CCPD, and he doesn't know who killed their mother. Do you? Old Man Flash says, "We both read enough comics to know how dangerous it is to mess with time, no matter how bad it gets. Now, that tower over there, it creates an energy barrier over Central City that drains all traces of speed from anything. Nothing can get in or out. It's called the Shell, and it is the home to a man named the Turtle. Turtle uses his powers to steal speed and energy from Central City and its people. I fought the Turtle a few times over the years. Never took him seriously. No one really did, which was a mistake. One day, Turtle appeared and he just took over Central City. Other heroes tried to stop him, but no one can get past the Shell. Anyway, I probably said too much as it is. Turtle hungers for speed, and we gotta get you back home." As the two stop inside of some ruins, some of Turtle's soldiers jump out, stating that they knew that he would come for the Turtle's horde. Old Man Flash cracks his knuckles, telling Barry, "It's been a long time since I fought alongside another speedster." And Barry stops him. "Wait, fight? I do not know how to fight." So Old Man Flash smiles, telling him, "Well, looks like it's up to me then." Barry watches as his older counterpart effortlessly uses the abilities that he's been trying to master. And just as one soldier goes for Old Man Flash, Barry reacts. He shouts for him to look out as he creates a tornado with his arm, launching the soldier away, and Old Man Flash tells him, "Not bad, kid, not bad. But come on, I can already see ahead what we need. And that's this baby." Barry looks past him, asking, "A treadmill?" So Old Man Flash tells him, "It's not just any treadmill, it's the Cosmic Treadmill. Dangerous stuff, but it's gonna help you get back to the correct time." Old Man Flash quickly begins to reassemble the torn apart treadmill, and as he finishes, he pushes Barry on, telling him, "All right, we're out of time. It's good to see you, but just remember what our mother said. Next time you see Iris, say yes already. Now run." Seconds later, there's a crack-oom, and Barry slides to a slowdown, stating, "Am I home? The hell just happened? I can't run like that again. I can't. The future." So in the coming days, Barry desperately tries to recreate the treadmill. But with all of his self-doubts, he can't help but just shake and vibrate. He tries to calm himself down, and then he gets a message from Iris asking for a meetup. He thinks about what Old Man Flash said about just saying yes, so he finally agrees. And the moment he sees Iris, the shaking disappears. At that moment, he gets ready to cross the street when suddenly a police car speeds by, and then he hears a voice. "How dare you stand in the way of my destiny?" The police surround an older man, but as they open fire on him, the man waves his arm, stopping the bullets mid-air. He plucks them out, stating, "You may call me Turtle." Barry tells him, that's the guy, that's Turtle. Wait, what if I stop him now? We could ignore that future. Just then, Iris jumps up from her seat and starts to run towards the action, and as Barry watches, he finds himself in awe. A woman with no powers running in head first and unafraid. But as she steps out, a police car almost hits her when suddenly there's a red blur standing in front of her. With everyone slowing down, Barry shouts to Turtle that this is the end of the line. Barry charges forward, but as he swings, he feels his body stop, and the Turtle smiles, telling him, "No, I don't think so." With Barry's body frozen in time, Turtle punches him, and then stops, stating, "That's curious. You are like me." Turtle throws Barry into the wall, asking, "Where did you get those powers? That speed, it's intoxicating. But slow and steady always wins the race." Barry tries to recreate the tornado, but before he can finish, Turtle grabs him again, throwing him back into the wall. As he braces for the hit, his body vibrates and he starts to phase through it. Barry tells himself, "Wait, the last time that I did this." Suddenly, the wall explodes and bricks begin to shower down on Turtle. Time begins to pick up as the bricks fly all over, and Barry quickly runs over to make sure that none of the bricks hit any officers, or more importantly, Iris. Turtle gets back up, asking, "Where am I? I'll slow all of you to nothing. But just before the turtle could activate his powers, the officers tase him and knock him out. As the police take him away, Barry changes back into his street clothes, telling Iris that he's sorry for being late. Iris scoffs, stating a Central City girl doesn't like to be kept waiting, Alan. But don't take this as being mean or anything. What happened to your face? As Barry tries to think of an excuse as to where the bruise from his battle came from, he blurts out that it was left over from the lightning in his lab. He's a slow healer. Iris then says that she's pretty sure that he needs to get to work on the crime scene. They can get some coffee some other time. But Barry stops her, stating, "How about dinner instead?" And Iris tells him that this diner she goes to serves breakfast all day. From that day on, Barry worked using his powers for good, while also trying to maintain a relationship with Iris. Another month passed, and soon Barry started to leave a spray-painted lightning bolt at the scenes where he helped out. Of course, he would race by later to clean it up, but it was to show people that there was someone looking out for them. But one day, Barry was trying to figure out a way to get into costume faster, and that's when he made a ring in his apartment building. Iris yells over the intercom, "Surprise! Buzz me in!" But what was Iris doing here? She's never been to his apartment before, and it's a mess. So Barry does what anyone with superhuman speed would do. Changes, runs out for flowers, cleans up his apartment, and all before Iris could even knock on the door. As the two get ready for their date night, she sets down her bag and a picture falls out. Barry grabs it, asking who's this, and she tells him that it's the man Clive Yorkin, a violent career criminal. Remember that crime scene from a few months ago? That was John Banks, Yorkin's partner. She's pretty sure that they were setting up a heist and Yorkin killed him over it. Barry begins to state that maybe he can help her, but Iris snatches the picture, stating, "No way, don't forget the rules. No work talk on dates." Just then, Iris's phone goes off, and as she reads the message, she sighs, stating that that's one of her sources. It seems Yorkin is working with a new gang. She's got to go. Barry laughs, stating that duty calls, and Iris tells him that she's just been working on this for months while everyone else chases the Flash stories. So Barry asks, "You're not interested in the Flash?" And Iris kisses him on the cheek, stating that she needs more evidence to decide. Central City has a lot of crime, and it needs more than a costumed hero. It needs hope. So as she leaves, Barry rushes to the lab to begin processing all of the evidence taken from the crime scene of John Banks. There was powder on his shoes, a controlled substance that is only available at Central City Pharmaceuticals. And with that knowledge, hopefully he can. Barry quickly slows down not to be seen as he spots Clive, and just before he could go in, Iris shouts to him asking if she could have a word with him. She would like to talk to him about an old associate of his, John Banks. Clive walks over, stating that she could take a hike, and Iris asks, "Did you murder him?" Clive grabs Iris by the shoulder, stating that she can come with them. But Iris kicks him, and he pulls out a gun and he opens fire. Before Iris could blink, all of the bullets disappear, and Clive and his new gang are tied up. Barry runs home so that he isn't seen, but as he stops to breathe, he falls to the ground in a pool of his own blood, shot. Barry runs home so that he isn't seen, and as he stops to breathe, he falls to the ground in a pool of his own blood. He coughs, feeling the bullet that got through, inching towards his heart with every heartbeat. He has to get the bullet out or he's going to die. And the only way to do that is to vibrate his hand through his own body. But if he does that and messes up, well, he'll cause an explosion, and when it's in your own body, that could be problematic. However, before he can make a decision, there's a knock at his door with Iris asking if he's there. "It's her! Please open up!" Barry doesn't answer, and Iris goes on stating that she made a mistake tonight. She chased Yorkin down and he pulled a gun on her. The Flash saved them, but other people could have died because of her, and right now, he's the only person that she can talk to. Barry quietly vibrates his hand and reaches into his chest while Iris is going on. And after being extremely careful, he pulls his hand out with the bullet. She says, "You're not even there, are you? You're probably at a crime scene." But as she turns to leave, Barry notices something. The wound in his chest, well, it healed. Without wasting any more time, Barry steps out, stating that he's sorry. He was just in the shower. He heard what she said, by the way. She runs into his arms, and Barry tells her that it's okay. Everything's going to be okay, Iris. The next morning, as Iris leaves her work, Barry can't help but think about Turtle. Did stopping Turtle then prevent the horrible future that he had seen? Are they still destined to repeat everything? He has to find out. So he heads over to Iron Heights, and as he enters the room, Turtle says, "Come to see the freak?" Barry tells him no. He works for Central City Crime Lab, and he needs to get his fingerprints. It seems the ones that they got earlier weren't any good. Turtle says that his fingerprints won't be in any system. He's a nobody. So Barry sets his things down, stating that everyone is somebody. He had a life before all of this. Turtle tells him he did once. From a young age, he was always a little smarter than the others. He finished school early and became a scientist. Soon after that, he met his wife and had a family. But during his time as a scientist, he discovered a mysterious energy, one that kept the universe moving forward and never looked back. The experiment was going as planned, but then it accelerated too quickly and it became out of control. He should have stopped it there, but he could feel how powerful it was and he froze as time slowed. And that's when there was an explosion. The energy had done something to him. It had taken something away, slowed him down to a crawl. His family stayed with him and they supported him, but over the years, they grew old while he stayed the same. Death never came. He is immortal, cursed to outlive his loved ones. He tried to learn more about the energy so that he could control it. His family loved him and worried that he was becoming obsessed, but then they helped him realize that their love was what was holding him back. Through his family's sacrifice, he learned that he could drain the forces that push life forward to help him get back to normal. But it was fleeting. So he planned and he ran experiments, but he needed funds. The bank robbery was supposed to fix that, but instead the Flash showed up and stopped him. But there's one thing that the Flash could never outrun: death. And Turtle will always be alive. Barry then asks him why is he telling him this, and Turtle holds out his hand telling him, I can feel a connection between us. Did you really think you wouldn't be recognized? Barry pulls his hand away stating, I don't know what any of that means. And Turtle tells him, your secret is safe. But know this, I will make a plan. It will take countless years, but in the end, I will win. Barry rushes out of the prison and back to the lab, trying to figure out something that could stop Turtle. But there's nothing that he can do to stop him. If he lets the future happen again, then it's all his fault. Just then, Iris knocks on the office door asking if everything's okay. They were supposed to have dinner tonight. Barry tries to clean up, stating that he can't. There's just too many cases that he's on and he needs to solve them. Maybe stop them from ever even happening. Iris says that he knows that he can't do that, right? He can't control the future. No one can. Iris then looks over at the desk and sees a picture and asks if this is about his mother's death. If they're gonna work things out, he can't hold back anything. He has to tell her what is going on. So Barry begins to state that his mother, she was... But before he could finish, a bolt of green lightning strikes through the window, throwing both Barry and Iris to the ground. Barry gets up, hurrying to the window to see what is going on, and that's when there's a crack-a-boom. Barry can hear the voice. I told you that day you came to see me in Iron Heights, Flash. I win. Out on the street, the future Turtle holds Old Man Flash in chains while he forces him to run the Cosmic Treadmill. Turtle calls out to Barry again, telling him that he knows that he can hear him. Come out! Barry quickly grabs Iris by the arm, telling her that they need to leave, but Iris pulls away, stating that she can't. She needs to get out there and get help. Someone has to chase the story. She doesn't do it for the headline, she does it because people deserve to know the truth. If he stands still trying to avoid the crazy will come for him. The words ring inside of Barry's head. That's what the older Flash told him when he was in the future. But she's right, it doesn't change the fact that what is going on is going to be hard to run from when his legs shake from fright. Out on the street, Turtle pulls on the chain, telling Barry, gaze upon your home. It wouldn't feel right without you here to witness this. Seconds later, there's a red blur as tornadoes sweep the guards off their feet, and Turtle smiles. There he is, the young Flash. Late! Barry charges in, telling him, better late than never. Turtle slows Barry down, punching him with his giant fist of energy, stating, no matter the age, you always rush into things you do not know. Barry stops himself from being knocked back further, and he tells himself that Turtle is right. He needs to use his speed and his head. Turtle then uses his energy, sending a shockwave into a building, snapping it in half, telling him, this is the day I take the Flash's hope. The building begins to fall all around Barry as he runs through the gaps and circles around on Turtle. But just then, Turtle feels a tug on the chains, and Barry picks up Old Man Flash running away. Turtle shouts to his men to find them. Today will be the Flash's final race! And a few moments later, Barry stops inside his lab asking what happened. Old Man Flash coughs, telling him that after he went back, King Turtle made him use the Cosmic Treadmill to follow, but he drained his speed at the same time. He already saw this happening. No matter what they do, they lose today. Barry sits Old Man Flash up asking, What is Turtle trying to do? And Old Man Flash says, slow down time. He needs a connection between our two timelines. Constructing the shell here creates a tether back between the present and the future. He's planning on using it to drag every flow of time and motion in the multiverse. It's like placing an anchor in the present that will slam the multiverse to a screeching halt. Turtle already took my speed, but he needs more. There's no way for us to break this loop without risking a time paradox. That's why I need to make sure that Turtle never gets his hands on you. He can never drain your speed. You need to run or risk dooming all of reality to ruin. Barry pauses, asking, that's my only option? To do nothing? It's just like the night my mother died. I just stood there while the paramedics took her body away. I could only watch. But ever since then, I've been pessimistic and afraid of the future. But the future is here. There's nothing I can do about it. Old Man Flash looks over at the old box, asking if those are their mother's comics. God, we wanted to be just like them, huh? A superhero, always knowing what was the right thing to do. I was so afraid. How could I have let things get so bad? Old Man Flash sets the comic book back down, telling him, tell me about Iris. What was your first date like? I can't remember the details. It was breakfast, right? Barry laughs, telling him no. It was dinner, but we ate breakfast. It was the first day that I fought Turtle. I wasn't even sure it was a date, but after that, we walked in the park. I used to be so worried about the future, but with Iris, as we walked, I lost track of time. I knew it then, after that night, that she was the one. The kind of person you only get to meet once in a lifetime. Always brave. No matter the risk, she always runs into danger. Barry then picks up the ring that he's been working on, stating, she doesn't just ground me, she inspires me. And that's why I'm going after Turtle. Old Man Flash gets up, telling him, it's not worth the risk. Turtle wants you to go. If he wins, the whole multiverse will be in danger. Barry thinks back to what he said when he was younger, that even if bad things could happen, heroes never let something like that hold them back. Old Man Flash tries to stop Barry, but Barry pushes him off, shouting, that's not what heroes do! You told me to never forget what our mother said. Sorry. But this time, I'm taking her advice. Barry slides on the ring, and as he runs, it opens up, revealing a costume. Up on the shell, Turtle looks out, stating that he's waited a long time for this. But just then, Iris shouts to let her go. Turtle turns back, telling her that she would be perfect to tell his story. You can tell everyone about what happened to me and how my family held me back. Iris scoffs, stating that she would never put a story like that out. And Turtle laughs, stating, I know your future. I know about your family, your deaths. I could tell you everything. But Barry shouts, you aren't talking to anyone. And I'm done running away. He runs in wearing the current day costume, with Turtle telling him, this is new. Are you finally ready to hand over your speed? Barry stops him, asking, do you know what the first thing that you said when we met was? And the Turtle tells him, it was end of the line, which reminds me, you did teach me something over the years, that not everyone holds me back. Just then Barry can hear Turtle's voice speaking, but much slower. The present day Turtle steps down. Slow and steady wins the race, and Flash dies at the finish. King Turtle fires off an energy blast to slow Barry down, shouting, this is my destiny! I've been plotting for this moment for ages. I don't want to just control the future. I want to control all of time! Barry recovers from the hit, stating that he might be the king of Central City in the future, but he's gonna be stopped here today. Iris watches the fight as she sees everyone down below in chains resisting the soldiers. She tells herself that the people need to know the truth about what is happening. It may be dangerous, but if Flash isn't giving up, neither is she! She grabs one of the shock batons and slams it into the control panel when suddenly everyone's chains break. The people start to rally together, yelling that they have to help the Flash. No one takes over their city. Barry punches into King Turtle, telling him, you're just a small man who blames everyone else for his own problems. King Turtle stumbles back, telling his younger self, handle the revolution while I take care of the Flash once and for all. As Turtle walks up the stairs to handle Iris, King Turtle grabs Barry, telling him, you should have run away. In every timeline, you escape to save yourself. The future is finished. King Turtle hits Barry with another blast of energy, and Barry thinks back to what his mother said, that he was always hopeful. He tells himself that he can't give up now. The future Flash was right. Turtle's power is too much. He has to run. But the people, they're not giving up. If Central City can face this head on, so can he. Barry stops, turning back, running headfirst into King Turtle's energy, but this time, it's different. As his body is being ripped apart as King Turtle steals his speed, it engulfs him with fear, making him feel trapped and afraid. But the heroes never let that fear get them down. Right now, he knows who his hero is, and that's Iris. She works every day so that people can get the truth, so that everyone's story is told. Having her in his life showed him that there can be a better tomorrow. He will move time and space itself for her. He knows that he could lose. He knows that he could die. But that was King Turtle's mistake. He needs to race directly into that fear. He needs to ignite the speed inside to find the one thing that King Turtle's powers can never take away from him. Hope! As Barry breaks loose from King Turtle's energy, King Turtle shouts, "Impossible! Your speed should belong to me!" Barry runs by punching Turtle again, grabbing Iris, stating, "This time, the rabbit wins." After setting Iris down with the others, he runs back up, running into the shell. But he can feel something as he runs, and he blasts past insane images. They begin to show him that he's a part of something bigger than himself, something that started before him and will outlive him. Now that his lightning is everywhere, he no longer fears the future. In fact, he could speed all of time and space in just a few seconds and take everyone with him to the future. Everyone except Turtle. It will trap Turtle's powers into the past and skip the time paradox that the future Flash feared before it can happen. As Barry does just that, King Turtle and Old Man Flash begin to fade. Old Man Flash feels himself leaving and he laughs. Ha ha ha! Not bad, kid! Soon Barry stops running as he slides into the new future. King Turtle is gone, and he can take that horrible future with him. He can't control or predict the future, but he knows that today, Central City and all of its citizens are safe, except for one. The younger Turtle falls to his knees, asking, "What happened? Who are you?" Iris grabs one of the shock batons, telling him to stay down, but Barry, in his street clothes, helps Turtle up, stating, "It's all right, it's all over." Iris yells for him to get away. He could be dangerous, but Barry helps Turtle, stating, he could be, but maybe with some help, he could have a bright future ahead of him. Dinner later? February 11th. Flash Day. Barry watches as a parade for the Flash passes by, thinking back to everything that just happened. The time loop was broken. The future is what he makes of it. He's still haunted by his mother's death and how his father is unjustly behind bars. Doubts fill his mind. Will he ever be the hero that he needs to be? The future Flash was a great hero, but even he faltered. That could have been him. He can never lose hope. As Barry watches, Iris calls out to him asking if he's really working on Flash Day. It looks like he took her advice and finally fixed the window. Barry leans in to kiss her when suddenly he hears someone yelling, "Gross!" Barry asks if someone's with her and she tells him yeah. They're kinda mad that they were brought along. Get over it. This is my boyfriend, Barry Allen. Two kids walk up and Iris says, "These are my nephews, Wally and Wallace. They're both visiting today so that we can see the Flash parade. Wally here is the president of the Flash fan club in his own town." And just then, Iris's phone goes off and she sighs, telling herself that she needs to take this. She can take Wallace, but can Barry watch Wally for a moment? As Iris hurries off, Barry says, "So, there's a Flash fan club?" And Wally tells him, "Yeah, I read all of Iris's articles about him. I was kind of hoping the Flash would show up so I could tell him that the Flash helped me through the hard times. Flash showed me that there's always hope for tomorrow. He's like something out of a comic book." I'm pretty sure the Flash heard that, and it's probably gonna make his year. But what if I were to tell you that, me and the Flash are friends? Meeting Wally there made Barry, for the first time in a long time, feel optimistic. He knows he has a long road ahead of him, and it will be bumpy at times, but if he remembers this year, he can run to the path to be a hero that he needs to be. Back in our present storyline, where Barry was back in time trying to learn what he could about the Still Force, he gasps and he asks, "What was that? My first year? What happened to..." Steadfast stops him, telling him, "I showed you the past, your true past. Time on this world has been manipulated." Barry asks, "Who are you?" And Steadfast pulls down his hood, telling him, "My name is Steadfast, the new avatar of the Still Force. Allow me to give you a glimpse into your own past, so that you may understand why I have shown you these visions. Forever, I chose a life of solitude until the Force barrier was broken, and I was cursed with the Still Force and the knowledge of time that comes with it. In the past, the Still Force was used for selfish gains, but now it is my life's mission to change that. Now, do you trust me, Barry Allen?" Barry kneels down before him, telling him, "Yeah." Steadfast sits with him and tells him about the new forces. How the Strength, the Sage, and the Still Force are connected to the Speed Force, and the role in which Barry is to play in the future. And when they were done, he went to work. A short while later, over the construction site of the Flash Museum, some steel beams begin to collapse, and before the workers could get to safety, Barry yells, "Safety first!" A few of the workers pause, asking if this is coffee. Barry tells them, "Yeah, figured you could use a pick-me-up, but it's a beautiful day. You should all be with your family." And the foreman shouts, "You heard the man! Clear out!" Once the site is clear, Barry gets to work putting together the museum as well as making a few changes to the statues. Commander Cold stops by asking if everything's okay, and Barry tells him that he's good. Cold asks if he's done now. Barry looks out, stating that that's the thing. The Flash Museum will never truly be done. I'm gonna need your help with some special upgrades. The challenges that we face will be great, and we're gonna need allies to find ways to work with our enemies. There's gonna be good days and bad days, tests of hope of the legacy that we've built. There's darkness in my path, and I can feel myself racing toward the hardest time in my life. But I'll never give up, no matter the danger that the future has in store for me. Now, you may think that that is the end of our story. The Flash getting ready to work with the Strength, the Sage, the Still Force to complete his goals, but right now in DC Comics, there's a special event happening. The Year of the Villain. And if you want to know how we've gotten to that point, go check out our Justice League videos. But all of these issues around this time have an epilogue, and today we're going to tell you Lex Luthor's offer to Captain Cold and the original Rogues. Leonard Snart, Captain Cold. He had a team once. Weather Wizard, Glider, Mirror Master, Heatwave. That was his crew. They were the best crew a no-good crook named Captain Cold could ever ask for. They took what they needed when they needed it and told the world to go to hell. You need a crew that you can count on in this life, because trust him, he's seen what happens with the bad ones. As Cold stands there all bloody and ragged, Snakebite runs up yelling, "Holy crap! What happened to the Suicide Squad?" Cold asks, "Who cares? I never bothered to learn their names anyway." Snakebite holds out a book stating that they got what they needed. We can make a lot of money on the black market with this. Maybe Wally will think that we all died on our damn Suicide Squad and we can be free. You know what will happen if you run. Snakebite asks, "Whatever happened to the Captain Cold that I heard about? The one who would stick it to the man every chance he got? Where's the Rogue?" Snakebite turns and runs back, stating, "You might be content living this life of servitude, but Waller is not my master." Cold doesn't bother running after him because he knows what's about to happen. There's a quiet boom as Snakebite's head explodes. Cold picks up the book and he begins to make his way to the extraction. He gets on the helicopter and returns to Belle Reve, turning over his weapons and heading to the cell. He figured when he got here, he'd make the best of it, be a real team player. But watching his teammates die got old real fast. After a while, he was just going through the motions, doing whatever he could to keep up a living, playing it safe, just like his good-for-nothing old man. His dad was just a loser who hated his family. He took whatever hardships threw at him and gave up. Cold knew to be nothing like him. He was gonna be somebody, take care of his family but before he could finish that thought, a guard opens his cell telling him to get up, time to die. Cold tells him, "I just got back from a mission." And the guard says, "Does it look like I care? Special request for you, loser." Cold asks, "Who are you calling a loser? I could kill you right now." The guard says, "Yeah, well you won't. Before I got here, the word was that you were cold inside, and after watching you come back from all these missions as the lone survivor, we all knew what you were inside. Dead." Cold walks up asking, "Do you want to just get it over with then? Pull the trigger. End it. Kill me. Blow up my damn head. Do it." That's when there is an explosion, but not the brain bomb in Cold's head. The guard's headless body falls to the ground and then a second explosion knocks out the wall. Cold gets up asking, "What is going on? Is it snowing?" A small drone flies in telling Cold, "Do not be alarmed. I have sent this drone from the Legion of Doom headquarters to free you, to deliver a message. It snows because we used the technology that I have created. I wanted you to see what could be done if you had dreamed bigger than you have in the past. Leonard Snart, we have fought side by side. We have walked the path of the righteous that would give us a better future, and we were both wrong." Cole asks, "Is that so? Word in Belle Reve is that you kicked the bucket." And Lex tells him, "I have evolved. I have come with an offer. Your freedom is just the beginning. I know what your cold heart has always craved." Cole tells him, "I'm game for whatever you're up to, under one condition. The Rogues get the same deal. First, I take care of my family. Then, we take care of the Flash." Everyone has heard the line that just before you die, your entire life flashes before your eyes. But for the Flash, he was given an opportunity to relive a very important year of his life. A time where he lost, but found hope. And right now, in Central City, Kid Flash and Avery could use a little hope as Tar Pit and Girder wear the two young heroes down. Everything that they throw at the bad guys just seems to bounce off, but as Tar Pit comes to the end of the fight, there's a red flash that speeds by. As Tar Pit slams his fist into the ground, Flash picks up Kid Flash and Avery, telling them, "I thought the rogues were smart enough to skip town, but not the mighty Tar Pit and Girder, huh?" Kid Flash shouts to Flash, asking, "Where have you been? You can't just roll in and steal our thunder." And the Flash tells him, "You know, I was just lending a helping hand. These two are all yours, but I will remind you that hot tar doesn't react well with metal." Kid Flash begins to use his powers to push Tar Pit back, telling him, "You might not have said it. This is another one of your Flash facts, isn't it?" And Avery runs up to the other side of Girder, telling Kid Flash, "Hey, we don't have time to debate. How about we see what happens when Tar Pit and Girder hit each other?" Avery positions herself, pushing Girder into Tar Pit, and as the two begin to touch, they begin to fuse into each other. Girder begins to shout that the tar is burning him, and Tar Pit yells that the metal doesn't feel real good either. And as the two stop struggling, Flash asks, "Do you promise to behave yourselves?" And they both shout, "Yes, fine, whatever, just do something already." So as the police arrive, Flash says that Star Labs has the right tool to separate Tar Pit and Girder. They'll be fine. Kid Flash then says that that's nice. "Well, see ya." And Flash stops him, going, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hang on a second. There's something I need to show you." Kid Flash asks, "Why would I follow you anywhere? You betrayed us all." And Avery says, "Yeah, why should we? Last time I checked, when there was a family feud, you just up and left us." Flash tells him, Yeah, and I'm here to correct that. This is about more than my past mistakes." Kid Flash then says that he'll need more than a smile and words to show that he's changed. And he'd better not be doing this so that Iris will talk to him again. Flash pauses and tells him, "No, not at all. Me and Iris will talk when we're both ready. Just come with me and I can show you just how hard I've been trying. How about it?" So Flash takes off with Kid Flash and Avery following close behind. And as the two stop in front of a large building, Avery looks up asking, "You rebuilt it?" Flash tells her yes. The Flash Museum is back up and running, with a few changes. The three head back inside and Flash tells them, "I felt like something was missing. Something that we needed as a team. And this, well, this is it." Kid Flash asks, "We needed a painting? That's it? You brought me here for that?" Flash vibrates his arm through the portrait, telling him, "Yes, but just wait. It's what's on the other side." Flash disappears through the wall and Avery asks, "Are you buying it?" So Kid Flash sighs. This better be good. Once they go through the painting and vibrate through the wall, Kid Flash looks at the giant lab and asks, "You made a Batcave?" Commander Cold, an alternate version of Captain Cold from the future, tells him, "Actually, it's a speed lab. It uses my future tech to trap down escaped rogues, follow Trickster's plans, and keep an eye on new Force users and more. Whatever we need to protect Central City and beyond." Kid Flash says that it feels a lot like an absentee dad showing up with a new toy, thinking that all will be forgiven. "We have a lot of questions, Barry. And for starters, what's the deal with the guy in the robe giving me weird vibes?" Flash explains that this is Steadfast, the Still Force user. He's been helping Barry understand the new forces that have been unleashed and that are affecting the world. But not only that, there's not going to be any more lies between us, Wallace. Whatever questions you have, I'll answer them all. Kid Flash then asks, "Do you think you can handle my questions?" And Flash takes off his mask, telling him, "Go ahead, fire away." Meanwhile, over in Barcelona, a man runs through the streets as the police finally corner him inside of a local pizzeria. One officer draws his gun while the other tells him to be careful. He ripped the gas line out of the wall. The first officer says it'll be fine, he doesn't have his flamethrower. "Do you, Heatwave?" But Heatwave holds up a match, telling him, "Don't need it." Then he strikes it. The entire building explodes, and more officers rush to the scene and begin to surround Heatwave, telling him to freeze. But that's when another voice asks, "Isn't that supposed to be my line?" Suddenly, a blast of cold air begins to freeze the officers in place, and Heatwave asks, "Did you get your powers back, Cold?" And Captain Cold tells him, "Nah, my time behind bars in Belle Reve inspired me to upgrade my tech." As Heatwave takes the flamethrower from him, he asks, "Where did this beauty come from?" Captain Cold tells him, "Lex Luthor gave me the resources to up my game and made me an offer I can't refuse. But if this is too much..." Heatwave laughs, turning the flamethrower on. "You can save it. Whatever it is, I'm all in. But what's next?" Captain Cold starts freezing the police cars, asking, "What do you think? We're getting the gang back together." Back at the speed lab, Kid Flash asks, "What do you mean we're all getting slower?" Flash explains that the force barrier fell, and the Sage, the Still, and the Strength forces were freed. Things for Speed Force users have been getting worse with every step that they take. Kid Flash thinks back to when he did think that something was off. Fighting Tar Pit has never been that hard before. But what's wrong with the Speed Force? Steadfast answers him. The Speed Force is dying. The new forces were never meant to be freed. Their very existence hurts the Speed Force. And Kid Flash yells, "We can't lose our powers! It's like the worst time for that! The rogues are on the run!" Flash tells him, yeah, and so is Hunter Zolomon. He's out there as well now. There are more dangers in the world than ever before, and we need to operate smarter. It's time we ran again, as a family, Wallace. It won't be easy, but believe in me. What do you think? The Flash waits for his answer, and that's when he feels that something is wrong. The Speed Force may be getting weaker, but he's still the fastest person in the room. And then it hits him. He can feel it before he can see it. The Black Flash! The Black Flash is faster than anything he's ever encountered before, and normally he'd use science or make use of his powers in a clever way, but right now there's no time. Flash punches the Black Flash into the computers, and Kid Flash asks, "What the hell is that?" Commander Cole tells him, "That is death. In the future, it's written that the Black Flash would appear whenever it's a speedster's time to become one with the Speed Force." Flash readies himself, telling him, "That means that one of us is gonna die, and as long as I'm here, it's not taking..." But the Black Flash runs past the group, with Kid Flash shouting, "Barry, it's not after us!" Black Flash grabs Steadfast by the throat, shouting, "New forces must die!" As Black Flash pins Steadfast down to absorb his strength, Flash rushes over, shouting, "No one is dying today!" He quickly snatches Steadfast, asking, "Why aren't you using the Still Force to fight back?" And Steadfast tells him, "Because the Black Flash can use our forces against us. The more we use them, the easier it'll be for him to track us." Flash then yells to the others, "All right, I have a plan. Crisscross formation on Kid Flash's mark." Soon the three speedsters begin running in different directions, handing Steadfast to one another until the Black Flash screams, "Die!" creating a vortex, knocking Kid Flash and Avery to the ground. He sees Steadfast on the ground and he grabs the robes, and the head of a mannequin rolls out. The Black Flash begins to panic, looking around for someone, and when he finds no one, he screams, vibrating out of existence. Up ahead, Steadfast tells Flash, "All right, you were lucky. Imbuing my cloak with the Still Force aura worked. I can no longer feel the Black Flash pursuing us." Flash asks him, "How long though? If it's hunting the new Force users by their powers, what are you supposed to do? Not use them?" Commander Cold radios in, "Well, I did a scan and it seems the Black Flash is gone. The only information we have in the future on this guy is that he's trying to protect the Speed Force. It would appear that the Black Flash is acting as some sort of antibody. It's trying to save the Speed Force by killing off the other Force users." Flash tells Commander Cold to keep searching. They might not be seeing the Black Flash because it went for another target. So Kid Flash and Avery run back to the Speed Lab asking what can they do to help. An alarm goes off and Commander Cold tells them that ever since Trickster destroyed the Iron Heights, he's been monitoring police feeds and scanning for any mentions of escaped inmates. If they want to help, they can round up all of the escapees while Flash deals with the Black Flash. Meanwhile, over at Corto Maltese, Shark bites down on the Strength Force user's arm, Forza, asking, "Would you like to be Mrs. Shark?" Forza says, "It's a shame, really. I've been working so hard on my anger management issues. My therapist is really going to be disappointed." As she widens up Shark's mouth, he tries to ask what she is doing, and there's a loud crack. And he mumbles, "My God, blah, 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 blah." Forza then throws Shark into the sea, telling him, "I hope you like drinking through a straw." Now, Flash, what do you want? Flash stops, telling her, "We don't have to talk here, but we do have to go." Forza asks why would she go anywhere with someone that she doesn't trust. Steadfast walks up, telling her, "Flash is correct. We're all in danger. The forces that we each control have always been at war, and with war comes death. Death will not rest until all of the forces are destroyed." As Steadfast energy radiates, Forza tells him that she believes him. It's like her Strength Force is reaching out to him. "Fine, where do you want to go now?" Flash tells her that they have to go to Zondia and find Psyche. So a short while later at Zondia, Psyche scales a building and watches as a group of men ask what a foreign dignitary is doing in a corrupt city like this. Let's have a look at, but that's when a red Flash zooms by and Psyche shouts, "Damn it, Flash! You can't just pick up a guy like that!" Soon, Flash stops running, setting Psyche down, telling him, "Meet Forza and Steadfast. They're Force users like you, and you're all in great..." But Psyche stops him, telling him, "Hey, how about we just cut to the chase, man?" He uses the Sage Force to read the Flash's mind, and when he sees the Black Flash, he shouts, "Holy crap! What the hell is a Black Flash?" Forza sees the projection, asking, "Is that what's chasing us?" And Flash tells everyone, "All right, stay calm. We can work together and..." But Psyche stops him. "Hell no, you're lying. You have no idea how to stop this monster. It won't stop until we're all dead. As long as we don't use our powers, it can't follow us. And that ain't happening. Come here, Steadfast." Psyche stares into Steadfast's eyes, and as he lets go, Steadfast begins to attack Flash and Forza under Psyche's command. Psyche then begins to run shouting, "Hope you don't mind having Steadfast use as bait! Enjoy the fight, suckers!" Steadfast turns and begins to blast Flash and Forza with the Still Force, and Flash yells, "You're gonna get us all killed!" And Psyche stops asking, "Really? You saw that thing, right? That Black Flash wants to kill us all to save the Speed Force." While Flash dodges Steadfast's attacks, he tells Psyche, "I don't want to do this! We can stop the Black Flash, but we have to work together." But Forza punches the ground, knocking Psyche over, telling him, "Just cut the positive act. If the Black Flash wants to kill this dummy, he's gonna have to get in line." While those two begin to fight, Flash charges at Steadfast, telling him, "I hope this works. When I relived my past battles with Turtle, I learned that the Speed Force and the Still Force are connected." As Steadfast slows Flash down, Flash transfers his speed energy into Steadfast's blast and sends it back, shocking Steadfast back to his senses. He begins to fall over, and Flash catches him, telling him, "I'm sorry about that. Gave me a bit of speed to help you snap out of it." And Steadfast tells him, "You shouldn't be the one apologizing. I abhor violence, and regardless of our opposite forces, I would never willingly attack you." As Flash helps Steadfast up, Forza climbs over a rock asking, "Are you done yet? Psyche ditched us." Steadfast then says that he's trying to look for Psyche's force, but it seems to have disappeared. He may be using his powers to mask his presence from everyone. And Flash says that if he's using the Sage Force, then that's gonna put a bullseye on his back for that Black Flash. If he keeps using his mind control powers, he's a dead man. Later, back at the Speed Lab, Commander Cole tells everyone that it's just as he thought. After some testing, each of the forces are in a chaotic state. They shouldn't all be on Earth at the same time. The Black Flash is a defense manifestation of the Speed Force itself, not a user. It's dying and it's giving off the same signature as the Flash. The Flash asks if that's so, then he should be able to track the Black Flash when he appears, right? And Commander Cole tells him, that is correct. Flash thinks for a moment and then says, I've made up my mind. Effective immediately, Steadfast and Forza, you cannot use your powers. Forza shouts, no way! The Strength Force will stop the Black Flash dead in its tracks. Commander Cole says that that's the thing. You can't. In the Flash archives, there are few details other than the fact that every Flash has encountered this thing at least once. And sure, you might be able to hold it off a little bit, but in the end, nothing can stop it. Flash sighs, stating, we gotta find a way. And Commander Cole tells him, I know all about this hope and optimism thing that's going on, but a smile's not gonna save the day here, Flash. This is death incarnate. Flash gets up to tell him, I'm not gonna fight it. I'm gonna outrace it. If the Speed Force dies, the Black Flash will die as well. So he walks off with Steadfast telling him that if that's the case, there will be no more Flashes. And Flash tells him, no, you'll be alive. No one is dying because of the Speed Force. No one. I'm gonna go find Psyche. Forza reaches out telling them, hey, this is our fight too. We're coming with you, Flash. But at that moment, Commander Cole freezes both Forza and Steadfast, telling them, sorry, but Flash is right. You'll thank me later. Flash looks back and Commander Cole tells him, those are power dampening restraints, one of my favorite tools in dealing with the Reverse Flash. Flash asks him, how long is it gonna hold? And Commander Cole tells him, an hour maybe? After that, Forza's gonna snap it like a twig. You might want to figure out what's gonna happen before then. But before he could finish, an alarm goes off and Commander Cole yells, there's a spike in Speed Force energy, it's a Black Flash! Seconds later, over in Scotland, Psyche stands on top of a moving train telling him, I just gotta keep moving. I can live on this train for years. And as Flash runs, he can feel the Black Flash getting closer and closer, and then run past him. As Psyche is crawling down into one of the cars, the lights go out, and then back on again, and he can sense it. And he says, I can sense you. What kind of trick are you? Oh my God, no! Flash jumps onto the train car, and as he heads inside, the Black Flash is draining the Sage energy until Psyche is no more. At the Speed Lab located at the Flash Museum, Forza shouts they are to be released at once, since Commander Cold has them pinned down there. He pulls out his gun, telling them that those restraints are for their own good. They're to keep them safe from the Black Flash. If they use their powers, he'll find them. Forza begins to struggle as she flexes her muscles, breaking the restraints, asking, who's gonna keep you safe once I'm free? Where is the Flash? Just then a red blur stops and separates the two of them as the Flash tells them, I'm here. And I was too late. Everyone stops to look at the body of Psyche in his arms, and Forza says that there's no way that is really him. This has to be one of his illusions. Psyche's death is on you, Flash. You should have let us come. As Forza gets ready to swing, the Flash creates a vortex, knocking her down, shouting, okay, that is enough! There is still a chance to defeat the Black Flash. Forza slowly gets up, telling him that she thought the Speed Force was getting slower. And Commander Cole tells her that it is. Or at least, it was. Scans show that the Speed Force is actually getting stronger now. Flash then tells them, it is. I felt it get stronger once Psyche died. After getting Psyche up onto the examination table, the Flash asks if the Sage Force is really dead. Commander Cold looks through the readings, and then he turns back telling him, not quite. The Sage Force was burned out of Psyche, but it's more like the Black Flash uncoupled it and destroyed its connection to the Speed Force. Currently, there are no traces of the Black Flash, which means it's probably retreated inside of the Speed Force, waiting for the next opportunity to strike a Force user. Flash then turns to Forza, telling her that they're just gonna have to beat the Black Flash. That if they're going to beat the Black Flash, they have to understand why the new forces are killing the Speed Force. If they work together, if they share their knowledge of the forces, maybe they can beat this thing. Forza smiles, telling him that he's always so optimistic. They want to learn about the Strength Force? Then they could talk about it all day inside the Strength Force. She punches the ground with a loud crack-a-boom, and the Flash shouts, asking, what was that? She laughs, telling him, you're not the only one that can summon portals. Commander Cole tells him that he's going in. His tech should be able to scan for any clue of what they find inside. Flash tells him that they need to hurry. A show of power like that is going to attract the Black Flash. And as Commander Cold enters the portal, Forza stops, looking back, telling them that she knows that she called him naive in the past, but she's putting her faith in the Flash's optimism right now. Once Forza disappears, Steadfast turns to the Flash. You know that there's nothing to study inside of there. You just wanted to hide us because it's unlikely that we're gonna make it out of this alive. Flash slaps on his cowl, telling them, no one else is dying. No one, Steadfast. The Black Flash is a part of the Speed Force, and it's possible that the Black Flash is using me to find the new Force users. Whatever the case, you cannot use your powers. Just as Flash and Steadfast phase out of the museum, the Flash looks over to see Iris standing there staring right back at him. Flash tries to find the words to say something, but Iris holds out her hand to Steadfast, telling her that her name is Iris West. Flash pulls Iris aside, telling her that he's happy to see her, but this really is not a good time. Iris asks, it always isn't a good time for you, huh? Kid Flash has been captured by the Rogues with Avery, right? The Flash Museum was rebuilt, so I figured that you were working together again. I just wanted to check in on you. Kid Flash has been capturing the Rogues with Avery, right? The Flash Museum was rebuilt, so I figured that you were working together again. I just wanted to check in on Kid Flash. But there's something else that I wanted to talk about, and you can't wait. We need to talk about Wally. Flash tries pushing himself to talk, but he tells her that he can't talk about Wally. Iris takes his hands, asking, you can't or you won't? You keep ignoring it. What happened back at Sanctuary, where Wally killed everyone? It was horrible. Wally might still need our help. My memories are a mess. There's Wallace and there's Wally, but maybe we can. Steadfast begins to use the Still Force, telling her that he can help. He can help her relive the true memories, just as he did with the Flash. And Flash yells, no! You can't use your powers, Steadfast! Steadfast stops, telling him, I'm sorry. And Iris asks, wait, what are you talking about, my true memories? The Flash begins to tell her that he'll explain later, but before he can even finish the sentence, he feels a presence running towards them. Flash spins back, yelling to Steadfast, you got to! But before he can even finish that, Hunter Zolomon runs up, telling him, long time no see! Were you expecting someone else? Flash begins to create another vortex, but Hunter laughs, telling him, you're a hard person to follow. But if there's one thing that being an FBI profiler has taught me, it's not to watch the person of interest, it's to watch their families. Hunter easily moves out of the Flash's attack range and grabs Steadfast by the neck. Flash begins to shout, stop! You don't understand what you're about to do! But Hunter snaps his fingers, creating a giant explosion, telling him, it's tragic how far you'd let the Flash name fall. But for now, I'm just gonna take the Still Force user off your hands. As Hunter speeds off, Flash hardly has a chance to catch up when suddenly, the Black Flash begins to run behind them. But instead of going past, the Black Flash slams Flash against the wall, asking, where is Still Force? Flash doesn't answer, and the Black Flash throws him into the computers, telling him, stay out of my way. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Steadfast hears the slightly distorted voice of Hunter asking, why did you not struggle? Why did you not defend yourself? Steadfast looks up with a black eye, telling him, it is not my way. I've seen the horrors of war. I know what happens when one rushes into action without thinking. Hunter stops vibrating, telling him, we have so much in common. We both know about suffering, but what if I could make it all go away? What if I could use your powers of the Still Force to fight back? Steadfast tells him, you must understand, if you possess the Still Force, the Black Flash will come for you, Hunter. Hunter tells him, I know, and I'm counting on it. Back with the Flash, he runs holding Iris, and she asks why he didn't just say that the Speed Force is dying. Did he not want to worry her? Flash says that he doesn't know all the facts, and some of that is not to worry her, yes. But also, it's not like they've been talking much. Iris tells him, trust her. After all of this, there's going to be a long, hard talk. Hunter's done a lot of messing things up for our families. But we can't let the Black Flash kill him. Flash tells her that she's right. That's why they're going to find out where Hunter went. Argus has a list of all of Hunter's files, but they're confidential, making them hard to access. Since Argus was destroyed, the ruins were transported to a different location, one with a lot less security. Flash suddenly stops in an unmarked warehouse filled with boxes, telling her that every shred of evidence is in this room. He begins to pull all of the files listed for Hunter Zolomon, and he begins to read them all. Hunter graduated at the top of his class and became an FBI profiler so that he could track down killers like his father. He met his wife Ashley at the academy, and his father became his mentor. Hunter was on the fast track to becoming one of the best profilers in the country, until he encountered the Clown, a notorious serial killer. Hunter thought that he had the perp's profile down, but he was certain that guns were not the Clown's MO. But Hunter was wrong. It ruined his whole life and it set him on a path to darkness. However, the issue is the gun used to kill Hunter's mentor had 2 sets of fingerprints on it. One belonged to the Clown, and the second couldn't be identified at the time. If we were to run those fingerprints through the Justice League's database, then maybe. As the computer scans and it pings, the Flash and Iris stare at the screen, and Flash says, if this is correct, we have to find Hunter now. Back with Hunter at the abandoned house where his mentor was killed, he shouts, this is where it happened. This is when my life was taken from me and no one was there to help me fix it. It was a different timeline than this one, yes, but we can both feel it, right? Death? No matter what is done, death always comes. What if I had the Still Force powers? Would I be able to change that? Steadfast tells him that he will never allow him to have the Still Force. So Hunter punches Steadfast into the wall and begins to beat into him, asking, what if I rip it from your core? But before Hunter can land another punch, the Flash punches him, yelling, I won't let this continue. The two barrel out of the house with Hunter telling him, you should want me to win! Especially since last time we went head to head, you didn't exactly win, Flash. The Strength Force is making me stronger. The Sage Force makes me smarter, and I'm already faster than you. Hunter stops hitting Flash and wraps his arm around the Flash's neck, asking, is this how Eobard Thawne did it all those timelines ago? Ever wonder how that snap felt on your mother's neck? As Hunter squeezes, Steadfast gets up shouting, stop! I will not allow this to continue! The Still Force stops the two of them, but Hunter smiles, telling him, I knew this would draw you out of your shell. And he begins to slowly make his way towards Steadfast. Steadfast asks, how are you resisting the Still Force so much? And Hunter tells him, I'm using every bit of Speed Force to do it. And now that I have felt the Still Force, we are connected. Which means those powers are up for the taking. Hunter grabs Steadfast by the arm and begins to drain the Still Force out of him. And then he tosses the body aside, telling him, thanks, kid. Flash rushes over to check on Steadfast, but Hunter grabs him by the leg and runs off yelling, don't worry, Steadfast will be fine. But now that I have the Still Force, there's somewhere that I need to go. And as they come to a stop, Hunter yells, this is it. Welcome to the Forever Force. It exists outside of space and time. Back when the Cosmic Treadmill exploded and gave me my powers, I got a small taste of this, the ability to manipulate time itself. I will be the greatest Flash that ever lived. No, the greatest Flash in the multiverse! Flash gets up telling him, you can't do this. You can't change the past. The cost, it's too high, Hunter. And Hunter tells him, oh, you misunderstand. The pain of losing my wife hurts. But I gave up on changing that a long time ago. Flash stops for a moment and tells him, you knew. You knew if you absorbed all the forces, the Black Flash would come for you. And Hunter tells him, that's right. Every Flash has allowed death to take them. But what better way to prove that you're a hero than defeating death itself? No more suffering. No more pain. Come at me, death. I'm ready. And the Black Flash races at Hunter, lunging towards him. The Flash yells for him to look out and jumps in the way of the attack. Hunter spins around and begins to beat into the Black Flash, using all of the new forces to rip him apart. But Flash struggles to get back up, telling Hunter to stop. The problem is, Flash's voice cannot be heard as Black Flash extends his arm, grabbing Hunter by the head. As the forces are slowly being sucked out of Hunter, Flash gets up, releasing a concentrated Speed Force blast, knocking Black Flash away, freeing Hunter. Flash then holds out his arm to help Hunter up, telling him, "We've only got a few seconds." But Hunter smacks him away. "I am the one who will free the Flash family from death. This is my destiny. My father was a serial killer. The clown killed my mentor. All that death led to this." Flash points off into the distance, telling him, "No, look! The forever force that we are in. It can allow us to look through time. This was never your destiny, Hunter." Images begin to swirl, and Hunter sees one that stops before him. It shows the clown being handed the gun by Eobard Thawne. The real Reverse Flash orchestrated the death of Hunter's mentor, which caused Hunter to become the other Reverse Flash until now, when he's decided to become the Ultimate Flash. Flash tells Hunter, "You were right. The clown didn't have a gun. Reverse Flash gave him the gun. Eobard manipulated your future to turn you into another Reverse Flash, and then into this, the keeper of all the forces." Hunter stumbles back, asking, "Why? Why would Eobard ruin both our lives?" And Flash tells him, "I don't know the answer to that. But when I was searching for you, I came across that gun." Hunter stands there staring at the image, but the Flash grabs him, then begins to run, telling him, "Look, we gotta get out of here, Hunter. Unless we fix the force barrier, the Black Flash will continue to come after you. There's no way to do that unless we work together. Wally once said that you were a good man, one who went bad only because of the tragedies in your life, which we now discovered are orchestrated by the real Reverse Flash. But we can leave that in the past and move on." Hunter begins running, telling him, "I know how to fix this. How I can fix this, Barry. I have to sacrifice myself to repair the force barrier." Flash shouts, telling him, "Wait! There has to be another way! I won't let you die!" And Black Flash slowly passes through Flash, and Hunter calls back that this is the only way he can fix this, and only he can do this himself, because he has all four forces. It has to be him. Find out why Eobard did this to us, Barry. The real reason. And tell Wally, I'm sorry. I wish that him and I could have stayed friends." Flash reaches out, yelling, "Stop!" And Hunter tells him, "This is what Flashes do, right? We sacrifice ourselves to save the day." And with a thundering crack-a-cocoon, Hunter turns to white and he fades away. Flash stops and he looks around. He realizes that Hunter did it. The force barrier is fixed. The Black Flash runs around looking for him, but he can't find him, and he turns his focus to the Flash. The Flash tries to run to keep ahead, but his powers are fading from before. But with his powers fading from before, the Black Flash grabs him and he begins to shout, "Die!" But as the Black Flash tries to steal the Flash's power, a shining light can be seen, and then lightning strikes with a loud crack. Outside the Flash Museum, Steadfast feels a chance in the air, and he asks if the Black Flash is gone. Iris grabs him, asking, "What did you say? Where is Flash?" So Steadfast looks up at the cloudy sky and he sees Perpetua looking down at him. He screams that there is something wrong. The past, the future, the very multiverse, it's all wrong. Iris helps Steadfast to his feet and gets him inside, but before Iris can even ask what's wrong, there's a massive explosion from outside, and the bodies of Kid Flash and Avery fly in. Steadfast shouts that this is the end. This is the end of everything. Iris runs over to Kid Flash and says that they were fighting them. Iris asks who, and that a shadow looms over and a voice tells her, "We didn't believe, Luthor, about this whole Doom wins thing, but now I believe." Iris looks up to see Captain Cole with the rest of the original rogues, the giant Doom symbol floating in the sky. And there you have it. Now, you might have a couple of questions, like the Batman versus the Flash sequence. That was actually a part of a tie-in to another thing, but it happened during this segment, so we just threw it in for the fun of it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Overall, though, what did you think about this whole thing? We've continued the storyline with the Flash. He's lost his powers at the end of this, and that's where the storyline goes. So you'll be getting more of that right here at the Comicstorian channel if you subscribe. And don't forget, videos like this are brought to you by the support that we receive at our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, where you get early access and unedited videos and unedited podcasts on a regular basis. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you next time right here.